without a shadow of a doubt. It's the Cronkite Show in social media. I want to welcome you to the war zone. I got my co-host Donovan Sadiq. Dimitri K is in the building. And I am the 5-star general. And we beyond pissed off tonight. Say, man, turn off CNN. Put on the real black media. But it's time to stop watching them and stop associating with them. We're finna go in, man. Say, I want to welcome you to the war zone. We actually started an hour early tonight because Miss K wanted to get some things off her chest, and I'm riding with my partner. Ain't no questions about it. And we're gonna ride this for an hour, then we're gonna start our regular show like we normally do with State Rep Harold Dutton at 7 o'clock. But I'm gonna turn the floor over to Miss Demetria K, and you can start it up.
So hello, everybody. I hope you all are doing well. So we decided to go live an hour earlier than our regular scheduled program because I will tell you, for me personally, in fact, I got on here with about 2 minutes ago because I was on the phone with somebody who was distraught over the murder of George Floyd. And I've been speaking to people all day in regards to it. And they are asking me, are we going to cover it? Now we have another guest that's coming on in an hour. So we just decided to come on early. But here we are again, talking about another murder of a Black man in America by the race soldiers of America, also known as the police, right? So last night, George Floyd was murdered by the Minneapolis police. There was, I guess from what they're saying, they got a call that he had committed forgery somewhere at a local store. They happened upon him. Now, I'll tell you guys, I'll be honest with you, I did not and will not watch that video because I just know that I can't watch it, but I read what happened. It sounds like he was pleading for his life while the police officer, who has now been fired along with 3 other police officers, had his knee bear down in his neck for about, from what I understand, 7 minutes or so, as Mr. Floyd was crying and pleading and begging for his life. Once again, like we heard with Eric Gardner saying, I can't breathe. From what I understand, he was, calling for his mother. Bystanders who were standing by kept on, trying to plead with the police officers as well. Please stop. You're killing him. This is not necessary. And he died after he was transported to the hospital. So I don't like to say he died. I want to continue to say he was murdered. And so, as I said a minute ago, here we are talking about this again. And I'm tired. Like, I'm not tired just because of this. I was tired a long time ago. And so we want to spend this hour talking about what happened. And I'll let Gary get a little bit more into it. But Mr. Floyd was actually a native of Houston, 5th Ward, and he was working in Minneapolis as a security officer. The people he worked for said that he was a good guy. He was well loved, and they're completely distraught that he was murdered, especially in the fashion murdered. If you guys have seen the pictures, and I'm sure you have, look on the police officer's face, he's getting off on murdering this Black man without any feeling at all. Even the mayor of Minneapolis was like, and I'm paraphrasing, but to me, it's cut and dry. Nobody in America, no Black man or Black people should not be in fear of their lives. This is unacceptable, and something needs to be done about it. And so we want to have this conversation with you all and see what needs to be done. So that Black people are not murdered wholesale, continuously murdered wholesale by the race soldiers of America.
George Floyd has a connection with Gary Monroe and a whole bunch of people. George Floyd graduated from the address 3703 Sampson Street. in Third Ward, Texas, from Jackie A. Senior High School. That's where I'm from. And right now, our whole family, see, when you're a Yates Lion, it's different. That's all I can tell people. It's just different. And right now, the whole family is hurting. Not just his immediate family, but the Yates family, everybody that knew him. He was a good dude, man. And the thing is, you know, you motherfuckers that murdered the wrong motherfucker, man. I don't care if you're in Minnesota. Third Ward, Texas, coming to Minnesota, man. I got my people working right now on the flights, man. It's what it is, man. And the sad part about it is we have a blueprint to stop it. But what's got to happen to make it stop? I'm going to just say me. I might have to go to jail or I might have to die. Who cares? If it makes it better for y'all, then that's what I'm prepared to do. But this talking, this going to court, the court system was never designed for us. I mean, the cops gonna get away with bloody murder. I think that this should be, I can't say a hate crime. This should be capital murder with death penalty implications. So if I walk up to a law and I do this, I'm arrested immediately. I'm going to jail for assaulting a police officer. I don't give a fuck that you fired him at all. But since you fired him, you fired him for just cause. They killed this man. So what you waiting on to arrest him? Arrest him, put the bond high just like you would have did for George if he would have made it to the jailhouse. Because his bond would have been sky high. Arrest him, indict him, send they funk ass to Gen Pop. Now I'm gonna calm down, y'all, because I'm a little on fire right now. But we have a blueprint to stop it. We talk about this every day, damn near on this show. We talk about it. You're not gonna stop this because where is our black representation? I applaud the police chief. I applaud the mayor. They did their part. Now we're waiting on the DA to do their part in Minnesota. But in the meantime, where Jesse Jackson? Where Al Sharpton? The Congressional Black Caucus? Where is our black representation? I guess y'all don't have a problem with this. You got to make sure you're politically protected before you say something, huh? See, what y'all doing is you playing with a keg of dynamite right now. You playing with a keg of dynamite right now, man. And when they get loose and you can't handle them, those of us that normally try to calm them down, we're going to go silent. We are going to go silent. And now this war that some people think that we ain't prepared for, Minnesota, you outmanned and outgunned too. You ain't got enough cops. You ain't got enough guns. Them youngsters got artillery on the street that'll tear your fucking car in half. If y'all think they just sitting around there and they ain't got it, you know, I look at the things that people say, Demetra and Donovan, and then I laugh. Oh, when the pandemic started, all the white people started buying all the guns. Maybe we had enough. Maybe we just had enough. I talked to my police chief this morning, and I told him, you already know you outmanned and outgunned. He didn't tell me I was lying. Don't start no shit and it won't be none.
Yeah, you know, once again, here we are again. And when a white person is attacked or shot, and let's just, I'm going to use this analogy. 9/11 happens. They have no proof. They just go on their feelings. Then we go and attack Afghanistan, and then we go into Iraq. And there are still some people to this very day that think Iraq had something to do with 9/11. hundreds of thousands of Iraqis killed, right? They went off what they thought for retribution. They didn't care about the international law. They didn't care about that. But whenever we're getting shot and killed in the street, well, we got to let justice run its course. Y'all just be cool, relax, and we'll find out. We are the only group of people, and I'm not advocating violence but like Malcolm X said, I'm not going to stop you from doing what you were going to do anyway. We're the only group of people that will get hit, killed, harassed, and whatever, and we don't fight back. We don't do it. I think in New York today, there was a lady with her stupid dog, just straight out lying on the brother. And then this story breaks, and you got grown-ass black men sitting on their damn hands. I mean, what's it going to take, y'all? What's it going to take? What do we got to lose? Think about that. What do we have to lose at this point?
Yeah, I'm noticing maybe if people talking about Trump and all, it ain't got a motherfucking thing to do with Trump. This shit been going on forever. Trump wasn't in office when they killed Sandra Bland. Trump wasn't in office when they killed Eric Garner, Trayvon Martin. I'll run out of air if I go down the goddamn list and say all these people names that have been killed out here. This ain't about Trump. But guess what? This the way y'all want to play the game? Then fucking let's play it. It's an eye for an eye from where I'm from. And I can tell you right now, I can show you better than I can tell you. Hold on a second. When I said what I said, and I meant what I said about these cops in Houston, because we've had 5 shootings we've had 6 shootings in a 5-week stand, police related. What I said this morning, I meant. If you don't do something about it, if you don't stop your people, Chief, I'm going to make it hard for your folk to come up in our neighborhoods. Basically, you can't come in no more. Let me show you what the hood's saying. Let me get it over here. I'm going to put that right there. Well, bro, my block ready. Enough is enough. I run the streets. You cocksuckers sit in office and you play your little political games. And many days I make it possible for you in the city of Houston to take your fuck ass home and kiss your wife every night. You touch another hair on somebody's head, I'm going to take my hand off the hood. And I ain't going to tell them to do shit to you. But I'd be damned if I tell them not to. I'm sorry, y'all.
So here we are. Again. In 2020. Okay. And we are living as if we were in 1920. The smack dab middle of Jim Crow. The race soldiers, aka police officers, were doing the same things to us then that they're doing to us now, and it's getting worse and worse and worse. And yeah, I know a lot of people on here are trying to say that it's Trump. Listen, they've been killing us wholesale in the streets before Trump got into office. This did not just start happening to Black people 4 years ago. So let's just cut the mess. Let's stop talking about politics, because this is not about politics at this point. This is about us. We as Black people are afraid of white folks, and I'll concede this point, rightfully so, because every time one of our leaders or one of us have tried to stand up, they have gotten rid of us. But as Malcolm X said, if you are not willing to die for freedom, take the word out your mouth. They also say freedom is not free. It's going to cost somebody something. Now listen, I don't want anybody to mistake me as ginning up the mob per se, but we've marched enough. We've prayed enough. As my dad always says, prayer ain't worth a damn at a bear meeting. We need to actually strategize and do something because, as my daughter said earlier, she says, my daughter's a 27-year-old Black woman and she's got PTSD because she's afraid that she might be next because those police officers aren't taking into account if you are a man, a woman, a child. They don't care. So at some point in time, we got to stop being about all talk. And like I said, I didn't even watch the video because I got enough going on. I like the Ahmaud Arbery video undid me completely. So I couldn't bear to watch another Black man be murdered wholesale because I know he's going to become a hashtag and we'll hashtag his name to death. And then a week or two from now, we'll all go back to our lives as normal until the next, because Black people are murdered every day. But we don't see it on the magnitude that we saw the one last night. We'll go back to our lives as nothing ever happened until the next big case happens. But at this point, you guys, this is on us. And in closing, for all you Negroes who thought it was a good idea to take your Black asses to all those NFL games when Kaepernick was trying to bring awareness to what was going on, you thought it was better to keep giving them white folks your money than to stand in solidarity with Black people. This is why he kneeled. If Black people get on the same page, stop putting our Black dollars into this white economy that don't give a damn about Black people, we will see change. Joe Biden ain't gonna bring us change. Trump ain't gonna bring us change. Nobody's gonna bring us change but us. And I'm with Gary and I'm with Donovan. How many of us are willing to give up our life for the betterment of our people?
It's just like trying to catch your breath, man. Hold on a second. Venezuela, $1 Smith Ford. That's my partner from Houston. He said that George was of Guerrilla Nation's own. Let me know the move. We will be present. The hood got a problem, man. The hood has a 5-star general. And the thing is, everything will be strategic. I want you to understand that we're not putting up with it no more. We ain't putting up with it no more. See, I'm going to tell you, and I keep saying it because it means something. You put your hands on the Yates line, homeboy. You don't even understand. You finna have major league problems. Now, I will piggyback on what you said. All of a sudden now, it look like this shit finna get crazy. Now people like, we need to withhold our money. You do whatever the hell you want to do. We got something we got to do. We got to take care of our fam now. And taking care of our fam gonna make it safe for all of y'all. You may not understand it. Mr. Monroe, what you finna do? I'm going to Minnesota. I got people ready to rock and roll with me. And I just showed my folk. I say, you really don't listen to my music. I got boys in LA, St. Louis, and St. Paul. We already there. You sure you want to fuck with this? Because this ain't gonna be pretty. We want what we want. George, worst case scenario, should have went to jail on a bogus bullshit charge. If he did something wrong, he has to face the consequences of whatever that may have been, a check or maybe a credit card. I don't know. But since when does a bad credit card or a high check turn into a death sentence? Are we serious? And we sitting here acting like we don't know how to stop this? Only thing I'm gonna tell y'all, I got to go. It's 3rd Ward, and I'm 3rd Ward till I die. Don't matter if you're in Minnesota. So if I got to go, I got to go. And I tell you this here, I'm gonna need your help. So I'm gonna put this shit up. If you don't want to help me, fine, I'm gonna figure this shit out. I'm an education advocate. And ain't been no schools open, what, 3 months, Donovan? I ain't made $1. I'm a crowdfund. Give me there. Give me there. Because you don't get to kill one of ours and think we ain't gonna do shit about it. Get me there. I'll take every dollar I got left to get there. But where he come from, you gonna feel us, bruh. You gonna feel us. And in the city of Houston, 5 shootings in 6 weeks. 1 more. In the immortal words of Pac, we'll burn this bitch down if you get us pissed. 1 more.
Now, how many of you guys have been listening long enough to where, especially me, have been telling you how the Congressional Black Talkers don't support us? The Hispanic caucus, they don't support us. Has there been a statement from the Hispanic caucus? But you guys are out there worried about the damn kids in the cages, and we got Black kids in the cages on this side of the border. That's why it is so important that we can't worry about other people when we need to worry about ourselves. They have a Hispanic caucus, and guess what? Ain't one Negro a member of it. But you go to the Black caucus, you got a white man in there, you got a Hispanic, I don't know what she is in there. All your Hispanic friends right now, I'm not saying all of them, how many of them have sent condolences? How many of them said, yeah, man, we need to go up to Minnesota with you. We need to get together. La Familia. How many of them said that? Not a one. Not a one. And you people are worried about people in cages. You don't care that your government is giving millions of dollars to people that aren't even citizens, your tax dollars, but they can't do police reform. Congressional Black Caucus's page says that they are big on police reform. No statement. No statement was made when all this was breaking. The general was on it early this morning. It woke me up. And we keep electing these people.
Say, man, the way I feel, I'm gonna say it for you too, because y'all are really good people, and I don't want the masses that hate you. Fuck the Congressional Black Caucus. Fuck politics. Fuck the police. Fuck all that shit at the moment. What we want is justice by any means necessary. Say, Mr. Police Officer, we got the address to your house. Guess who coming to dinner, bitch?
I just say this to you guys.
I'm sorry.
I just say this to you guys. I'm beyond tired of talking. I just am, because I don't want to be a part of people who just continue to talk. And Donovan, he'll tell me if I'm wrong, but it sounds good. And, forgive me. It sounds good. If, we talk about the, OK Corral, shoot them up. We walking tall and talking tough. But at the end of the day, we are outgunned. We just are. And so until then, what are we going to do right now? Because I guarantee you, most of us don't know 5 to 10 people who even got any ammunition to put together a militia or a coalition. So until we do all of that, what are we willing to do? Are we willing to pull all of our money out of this economic system that is not for us? Because money talks. I don't care what nobody says. Money talks. Are you willing to stop spending money on stuff we don't need? That's when every politician, as a matter of fact, I'm going to take it a step further. Are you willing to withhold your Black vote until all of these politicians, Black, white, green, you name it, until all of the politicians actually take their asses to their state capitals and drop some legislation and start holding these murderous police officers accountable? Are you willing to do that?
The hell with Joe Biden. Let me say it for y'all too. Fuck Joe Biden too. Because you know why? The person that he's supposed to be vetting the hardest for his vice presidency They from fucking Minnesota. This is normal. This is normal. Y'all gonna fuck around and put the Klan in office.
Well, I hate to tell you, the Klan is already in office. And I saw somebody else say that the Klan is starting to join the police officers. The Klan is the police officers. That's why the police in America was made. They were made to patrol slaves and to harass and terrorize Black people during Jim Crow. So to say that the KKK is now infiltrating the police officers, it's probably the other way around. The police officers are infiltrating the KKK. And you're not going to tell me, I guarantee you they're going to find Ku Klux Klan ties to that officer who murdered that man. I mean, y'all just look at how he was sitting there on top of this man's head. Like, I wonder what Becky's making for dinner tonight. And you know why he was so cavalier in what he did to that Black man? Because he know we ain't going to do nothing. We going to talk. And Gary, I know you're going to ride out for yours, from Houston, but what happens when it happens to somebody in California, somebody in Louisiana, and somebody like, what is going to happen then? We all need to mobilize where we are at. Enough is enough. And the mayor of Minneapolis, he gave his apology. We don't want no apology. No apology is going to bring that man back. We want some justice. And we want for that to never happen to one of ours again. I read a comment, somebody said the whole world is watching Black folks get murdered in the streets, and they're also watching Black people sit on our hands and just flap our freaking gums.
Let's try this here. When you're talking about affecting the money. Now, the thing about Black people, we're going to have to make this shit real simple. So I tell you what, why don't we pick 2 companies, and for 2 weeks, we don't spend no fucking money with them. Don't spend no money with Amazon. And don't spend no money with Walmart. I guarantee you these cocksuckers get it together then. Don't spend no money with Amazon. And don't spend no money with Walmart. And then 2 weeks later, we add to the list. We got 2. We're going to increase it to 4. Stop spending your fucking money with them people, man. We don't have any representation. So here's my thing. I'm ready to be your representation. How you gonna tell me you don't want me? Because you don't have nothing right now. Where's the fucking NAACP? All these people cannot write a letter unless they have political protection. Let's start with them 2. Somebody say Target. What I don't want to do is I don't want to make the list too big. I want to make it simple. Walmart depends on Black dollars every single day. Amazon making a fucking killing. But we don't need to just do this in Houston, in Dallas. We need to shut it down all over the country. Don't spend no money with Walmart for 2 weeks and watch these cocksuckers get it right. You fuck around and get a whole nother stimulus check for $20,000. This is why they wanted you to go back to work. This is why they needed the economy to open. Because with no money flowing, these people would be bankrupt. It is what it is, man. Donovan?
I just want to say this. We are hurting right now. Where are our allies? Ain't no Asian speaking for us. Ain't no damn Hispanic speaking for us. Damn sure the white folks ain't gonna speak for us. We're behind enemy lines here. We are on our own. This is it. If this doesn't show you, we have no allies here. It's up to us to do what we need to do. Now, I know some of you guys are going to go home and grandma's going to be like, well, back in the day, y'all just march and, we'll go to the church and we'll pray about it. You're dealing with a different type of people, okay? We are a different type of people. We weren't taught to kowtow down and just be passive and peaceful. We weren't taught that. Golly, when a Black man disrespects another Black man out there, we shooting each other. So we're not those people. So when you go home tonight and grandma and grandpa trying to tell you a different way, we've tried that. There is no other way at this point. Black men, specifically black men, we got to stand up. This is it. And protect our communities. We have to do it, because if we don't, it's just like in the military. If you don't show force, we gonna take your country right over.
My man just gave me the idea, and I am gonna run with it. I am now your national leader of the new Black American Caucus. Fuck these people, man. I'm gonna structure everything. I'm gonna get it all together. And it's time for us to create our own goddamn party. It's time for us to look out for our own selves. And I'll take the guidance from the great one every day. Jesus ain't come and help us on this one. We got to do this ourselves, man. We got to do this ourselves, man. No more talking. No more talking. An eye for an eye. I'm not turning the other cheek. I'm busting you in yours. If I roll up on a situation and you're handling black people like that, I'm swinging off on you, Mr. Policeman. You can get it now. Y'all do that. I got to send Mr. Dutton an email.
So first of all, I want to piggyback off of what Donovan said. We need to be an ally to ourselves first. Nobody's coming to help us until we help ourselves first. And we have the power to do so. You guys hear it all the time. Black people in America every year see $1.3 trillion and we give 97% of that away. So I'm cool with boycotting Walmart and Target. And let's not forget the mom and pop stores in our neighborhoods that cipher every dollar we got out and take it home to their communities and do not do nothing for our community. Let's get them all. But while we boycotting them, let's put some money into our black businesses. Let's circulate the dollar back home, because that's where it's really going to make an impact, which is what we should be doing anyway. So we got to be a friend to ourselves first. We got to stop all the division. We got to stop all the infighting. Like, until we as black people are stopped being murdered cold in the streets, we shouldn't even be thinking about politics, especially with the Democrats. We know, and they know, they need black people to get them anywhere. We don't want a tweet. We don't want an apology. We want you to actually do something. Like, we are in 2020. And we are still hell, we're even still being lynched by the neck with a rope in some places. So I'm cool with a boycott. I think we should be doing that. But let's actually do something conducive with our money. And great, if we're going to start a third party for black people, let's all get behind that. Because we're out of time. As Dr. Claude Anderson says, and he said this in the 90s, that black people are becoming a permanent underclass. That was in the 90s. So where do you think we are now? We are a permanent underclass, and we will not do anything about it, which is why police officers continue to murder us, because they know nothing gonna happen to them, and we ain't gonna do nothing.
Okay, so this is what they want you to do, Demetra. Make a list of businesses that you should basically you should not spend money with. So like in Houston, we spend a lot of money in the beauty supply store. Yes, ma'am.
I'll say this to you. I'm not gonna make no list. You know why I'm not gonna make no list? Because you guys know where your money goes. Look at your bank account statements and see how much of your black dollars go to other people who are not black, and then reverse it. And reverse it. Spend that money with black people. You know what you're spending your money on. Anything that does not serve black people, sacrifice like our ancestors did during the bus boycott. When they were trying to get something, they walked miles and miles and miles to work. They did not get their asses on those buses. So you know where you're spending your money. Stop spending your money there. I guarantee you, oh my God.
I get it. In Houston, you have an Asian beauty supply on every corner. My black sisters in the city of Houston. Now, you guys would know that in your neck of the woods. Right there on MLK, I think is where the old Sunshine was. I think there's a brand new black-owned beauty supply. Go spend your money with your people. Go spend your money. Look, you like to eat, you know, go to the Just Oxtails. Go to the This Is It's. You see what I'm saying? The Alfredas. Stop spending your money with them folk, man. We can get what we want if we smart. And all I'm doing, Demetria, I mean, because some people, they'll act like they don't know, you know, and I want to simplify it, because when I dig off in your ass in a couple of weeks, you ain't gonna have no excuses as to where you shouldn't have been spending your money. You feel what I'm saying? The thing is, look, if y'all don't want a fucking revolution on your hand with us in the fucking streets, then it's gonna be a problem if we can't figure out this money thing. Because I'm prepared to have my people go get them CHLs. And we finna walk our neighborhoods. We no longer want these stinking ass cops in our neighborhoods. Because if the corona don't kill us, the goddamn cop show will.
And I would say this too. I don't know all the dynamics of what happened to Mr. Floyd, but I guarantee it was probably a mom and pop store that called the police on him. Now, I don't know if he was guilty or not, but I think anybody nowadays calling the police on black people for stupid stuff, to me, that's stupid to lose your life over. I think you need to think twice. Donovan mentioned a white lady in New York. You know, she called the police and putting on about a black man, an African-American man is threatening her life. She was trying to summon one of the most deadliest police departments in the world on a black man because she weaponized her whiteness. She could not get her way with him, right? And so I can't, like, Marcus Garvey has talked about it. Elijah Muhammad has talked about it. Dr. Claude Anderson, Farrakhan, everybody has talked about black people practicing group economics so that we can move the ball. And then this is the thing that we're doing now during this election season. Oh, we don't have a black agenda. Well, we have a black agenda. I keep asking, which one are we going to follow? Which one are we going to follow? I have a question. I'm just tired of talking. We know what to do. We got the ball. We just need to run with it.
I have a question. Everybody that is on this thread and, you know, on the additional threads worldwide, whatever, you guys are Democrats. Where's your representation? Where's the statements from Nancy Pelosi? Where's Auntie Maxine? Where are these people? Al Green, I want to impeach Trump. That's more important than your community and where you live. Where are these people? And then you guys wonder why we say we're nonpartisan, because we already knew who these people were.
What we're going to do, Demetria, let's do this here. We'll come back. All right? Can you hear us, Mr. Dutton? Can you hear us? We can't hear you. You're going to have to go out and come back. Hold on. Keep talking. Hey, okay, he figured it out. I totally agree with y'all. I can see the frustration on Demetria's face. I'm beyond frustrated. But like I said, man, and I appreciate you guys who've cashed out me. Give me to Minnesota. What we got to do, you asked the question earlier. What do we do if it happens in California? We need to get to California from here on out. Mr. Dutton, you got to turn your microphone on. Y'all work on this for a second. Let me help Mr. Dutton. All right.
See, but this is what we've been trying to tell you guys. You guys are giving your vote away and you're getting nothing. And the Democratic Party is allowing you to be slaughtered in the streets, and you guys ain't even addressing your representatives. You're not demanding anything. And then you wonder why we're in the situation we are right now. This is what we keep talking about. We're not telling you to be a Republican. We're not telling you to be a Democrat. We're telling you to be smart and vote your interests. Hold these people accountable. Check their record. Just because you march with Martin Luther King, that don't mean shit in 2020. It's a sad day, you guys.
I mean, and then to piggyback off of Donovan's point, while we're trying to get the rest of the show going, why is it that especially our Black elected officials are allowed to sit in office term after term and not improving the conditions of Black people? Why do we keep electing those people? I'll tell you why. Because it's symbolism. Oh, you know, they got the hottest sound bites. You know, as we always hear, Maxine Waters, she's reclaiming her time and she gonna go after Trump, which we're still waiting for her to do. But that's on us that we keep electing these people that never deliver. I was reading an article earlier that says the coronavirus is predominantly in Democratic neighborhoods, mostly the urban neighborhoods, because of our living conditions. But we got these elected officials who know our living conditions are that way, and we go to the polls and we keep putting them in office. I thought we were supposed to elect people who are actually going to do something for the district in which they represent. So this is on us at the end of the day, because we're not holding those people accountable. They all have the political power to go up to the Capitol. Like I said, I don't want to see no tweets. Oh, I'm very sorry. RIP hashtag. But hashtag, you put it could be you next hashtag. But at some point in time, we have to stop electing people who do nothing.
We can't hear you.
Black people conditions.
Keep going, Demetri. I'm just trying to help him.
I mean,
Tamika Jones says, Black folks need to save their money. We don't bring our dollars together to push an agenda. True. Very, very true. But like Demetri and I say all the time, start where you are. Are we going to do it today? Are we going to do it tomorrow? Why not today? Why can't we start today? Have you guys had enough? Okay, this man just got murdered. Do we start when your son gets murdered? That's the question. Do we start when your son gets murdered?
Right, because that's when people will really start. People will want other people to take action. And I'm going to tell you guys something. I got a lot of nephews. I got a Black daddy. I got Black brothers. I got a Black man. I got Black, male friends. And hell, let's throw women and kids in that too, because we had a Tamir Rice at the age of 12 years old who was murdered by the police as well. So as I said, nobody is exempt. But at some point in time, we got to stop talking. We have to stop talking. We have to start doing something now. Otherwise, it's over for us.
Talk, Mr. Dutton. Can you hear me? Is he saying he can hear me? We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
That's technology for you guys. We're still trying to figure it out. But we want to hear from you guys. Like, I know it is a lot of comments, so I didn't see them. Go ahead.
Yeah. The comments are just flowing through. But here's one from Afro Thunderlocks. We need to buy guns and stand why. If I was on the street, I might have been shot or arrested.
Can you put your phone on mute?
And Kevin Brewster says, true, because once you're in jail, you will be tortured for your actions.
Right. I mean, but
we can't hear you. We can't hear you at all.
I hear you.
I'm gonna send you another email. Hold on, man.
It says, Charles Edwards says, the average brother that stands for any cause, it's hard to get people to support them after the fact. You know what? You're absolutely right. But again, start where we're at. Is today the day that Black men are going to stand up and protect their neighborhoods? Are we going to do that today? Are we just going to do what we've been doing? Just like grandpa and grandma used to say, well, you don't want to, get that Mr. White man. Let me give you an example. White people are so damn treacherous in this damn planet. Aliens don't even come here no more. When are we we have no allies, you guys. The Hispanics, we out there carping and caping for the Hispanics, and we got to get DACA, we got to do this, and we can't even save our damn selves.
Again, and you guys, you know what? Normally, I'm a little bit more on the chipper side of things, but I'm just literally exhausted, and I know you guys are exhausted too. But I'm just exhausted because, I think we as Black people, we have this savior complex on both sides. To Donovan's point, we want to go off and save everybody else, and then the other side, we want somebody to come save us. We are the savior we are looking for. Marcus Garvey said, we have no business trying to help white people, because at the time it was predominantly white people, help white people get anything that they need until we have all that the white man has. Says the first law of nature is self-preservation. We got to take care of ourselves first. We can't go put out anybody else's fire because our building is almost burnt down to the ground. We need to focus all of home. Where's home? With Black people. Every way, shape, and form. We need to focus our energy. But like I said, I just can't go to bed again at night with all of this on my mind. But as Black people in America, that's just what it is, right? But we can change. We can change what's going on with us, or the other thing, which is not very popular. We need to separate. What does that mean? A lot of Black people are just blowing this joint. They're just leaving and going back home to Africa or somewhere else that's a little bit more friendlier to Black people. Because a lot of people want to stay here, but you're not willing to do what you got to do to make sure you aren't the next victim that's going to be mowed down in the middle of the street for jaywalking or something ridiculous. So I know you guys are tired, as I said, but at some point in time, we just got to start doing. Go back to the ways of the ancestors, like our Malcolm X, who somebody made a good point. A lot of times people don't stand.
Can you hear me, Mr. Betty?
He doesn't hear you. A lot of times.
Go ahead.
We don't stand behind our leaders, and so I get why a lot of people are reluctant to lead, because nobody wants to die alone with a handful of people helping them. Like I look at an organization like the Black Panthers. There's Black Panther organizations all over. Why aren't their organizations busting at the seams with Black people? Why? Why are we waiting for them to do something we should be helping them do?
You want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because we got these weak-minded generations. Our generation, I don't want you to get hurt, baby. I don't want you to join the military, baby, but I'll let you join a gang. I'll let you tear up the neighborhood. We don't want people to get hurt. Somebody is going to have to make the sacrifice. We just had Memorial Day yesterday. We have a saying in the military. There are those that gave some, and there are some that gave all. I gave some. And that's the way it has to be. We're not all going to be able to, make it. We're not all going to make it. But just like in every other culture, we need to defend and let these people understand that if you take out one of us, there's going to be consequences. Just like when we break their law, there's a consequence to it. And we have no problem sitting in jail. It's a jail lifestyle now. Everybody's like, okay, well, you got the rule in the jail. I mean, it's a total lifestyle now. We have no problem with that. But when our children are being shot down in the street, when our children are selling drugs to each other and doing dumb shit, we ain't got no courage. We ain't got nothing. But we can start today, not tomorrow, not next week. You know, do I have a lot to lose if people don't shop at Walmart and Amazon? I do. Financially, I do. But guess what? I'm willing for the greater good to give that up so that my people can survive.
I mean, that's just like, you know, Malcolm X, which I consider myself a student of. If we would have did what Malcolm X asked us to do so many decades ago, we wouldn't be in this situation. You guys ever go to YouTube and listen to the speeches of Malcolm X? It is like he's talking about 2020. Nothing has changed for Black people in America since. And sometimes I get very heavy-hearted when I think about somebody like Malcolm X, because he gave his life trying to liberate Black people in every way, shape, and form. And here we are still behaving as if we have shackles on our feet, because we got shackles on our minds and we got to deal with that. But we are still acting as though we have shackles on our feet. We are very afraid. What are we afraid of at this point? I always wonder that, like, what are we afraid of? Walking down the street as a Black person is a gamble. It's a risk. So what are we afraid of?
Where are our Black celebrities? Where are the Black celebrities? I mean, they're making millions of dollars and we support them. And I'm not hating on them. All I'm saying is we have the financial foundation. Couple of, thousand here, Jesus Christ, Future's $53,000 a month to his 9th baby mama. So the money's there. But we ain't got no courage.
Time's up, you guys. Time is up for Black people in America. Time is up. I mean, I don't even know what else we can do. I mean, nobody's coming to save us. I know a lot of Black people are right. I'm riding with Biden. I'm voting blue no matter who. Guess what? Joe Biden don't give a damn about saving Black people. He don't give a damn. In fact, he's the author, one of the modern day fathers of these crime bills that actually help make the police department as they are today more powerful. So, like I said, while we're focusing on who we should put in the White House, I don't think that's where our focus should be anymore. Not right now, because we got a lot of other fish to fry. Like, we need to make it home at night. And I know a lot, especially a lot of Black men out there. I know every time you see the police car behind you, the first thing that probably comes to your mind is, am I going to make it home tonight? Am I going to jail over something I didn't do, but they're going to say I did?
Mm-hmm. Carl Book says, y'all keep tiptoeing around the religion that keeps us in bondage.
I will say this. I'm not religious. I don't go to church. I don't subscribe, however you want to say it, to any religion, because I agree with you wholeheartedly. The church has made Black people docile. And that's why I said it's hard to argue with Black Democrats and Black Christians, because you're not tearing them away from their white man in the White House, and you're not tearing them away from their white Jesus. And so when we realize that, and again, I'm not trying to say all Black churches, because there are some Black churches and Black pastors who are on the front lines per se. But what about all the Black churches that overwhelmingly benefit from Black people's dollars? Most Black neighborhoods, Black churches, where are they? In Black neighborhoods that are completely dilapidated. Sister so-and-so can't go into most Black churches and talk about my light's about to get cut off, because they're going to tell a sister we ain't got it. And they're going to tell her that as the pastor is getting in his Lamborghini, about to roll off to his house that's nowhere near the church in the Black neighborhood. So I impress upon you guys, when you go back to church, whenever this COVID thing is over, ask your Black pastor, what is our Black agenda? What is our church doing to save Black people, because I guarantee you, most of those churches have buried a lot of black bodies due to police brutality, gang violence, and a whole host of other things. So what are they doing besides telling you to wait on God? What else are they telling you to do? Are they actually putting their money where their mouth is? Are they actually putting boots on the ground, actually trying to help people? And I know a lot of people try to take Farrakhan to task, but what you're not going to do is say Farrakhan ain't about that life, because Farrakhan gets in the trenches. He goes to those neighborhoods and he talks to his people. He talks to his people. So when we talk about the black church, I'm asking you guys who go to church, go ask your pastor or these committees, what are we doing to save our people while we're here on earth? We got our souls covered, most of you. But what are we doing to save people while we are here on solid ground? Because we still got to live here. You preparing us to go to heaven while we living in hell. So ask them, what are they going to do for you and your people? And if they don't have a solid answer right there on the spot, I impress upon you to tell your pastors, I'll be back when you can tell me how my black dollars that I tithe every day or every week, however often you tithe, you tell me how my money is going to help my people. I will be back. Until then, I'm going to stay home and I'm keeping my money home too.
Donna Elizabeth Williams says, what Black America failed to see is that Black people prefer security instead of freedom.
It's a false idea of security. I want to know what that means to you as a Black person in America. What is security? Well, because you got a little bit of money in the bank? The police officers who are murdering Black people wholesale don't ask you, okay, before I put my knee on your neck, how much money you got in the bank? What neighborhood you live in? What's your title at work? They're not asking those questions. They're not asking you, are you an exceptional Black? Do you go to church every day? And they don't care about that. So I want to know, how are you secure as a Black person in America when we are being murdered like that? I guarantee you that police officer went home and ate dinner and slept like a baby, knowing that he blatantly murdered that man for absolutely no reason under the sun. So I want to know, what makes you as Black people in America secure?
AO4Q, I'm sorry if I said that wrong. Pastor in Atlanta told me and my wife we had to pay $3,000 to have our wedding at his church. We only wanted to use the stairs in the front to walk down. My wife family went to that church for years.
Well, what I want to know is, once he told you the bill was $3,000 for a church that you've been in all your life, did you have yourself in the pews the following Sunday? Because see, I'm not surprised that the pastor is charging for weddings and funerals of people who've been at the church for a long time. But what does surprise me is that we continue to go back and sit in those pews after he shot you with hell. I'm pretty sure you've been there your whole life. You done spent more than $3,000 in the church. So did you continue to sit there?
Real quick, Errol Jones says, no disrespect, man, but Mr. Dutton has is scheduled to appear on the show, but he is positioned not to have to speak. No, what's happening right now is we're having audio difficulties with him. So Mr. Monroe is working on that.
Right. So next question, next caller.
Don Elizabeth again Williams says, here we are making a lot of noise. The way to start the war is to turn America into what coronavirus did to this nation. We must become like the virus. Security is the little dollars and cents, the car, home that you don't own and never will.
And that's false security, because if you don't own those things, then they're not yours. And, I'm reading a book about I'm reading about a book about the Black Reconstruction in the 1800s. And do you guys know that those Black people who were very upperly mobile right after slavery would often have their land taken from them, their cattle, their money, everything they worked for taken from them? Nothing's much different.
This phone?
He's on there, but
we can hear you, Gary.
The phone. He said it's unmuted, but y'all still can't hear him.
We can hear you.
So what could that be?
I mean, but I'm.
There's nothing you can do. What can you do? If you don't frustrate yourself, he can't hear. Is there somebody home who can help him?
I gotta get him on the show. I gotta get him on the show.
Or see somebody is home who can help him. So anyway, I mean, it's a false idea of security. If we see, like I said, if we're dealing with individual as black people as individuals, yeah, you got a nice house, you got all of that, but we're talking about collectively as black people.
Yeah, real quick, I just want to make an announcement. Usually when you guys go on podcasts and shows like this, your phone is one thing, but it's a lot better if you have a laptop. That way, the problems in the software will jive a lot better. When you're on a phone and on the different systems, it really, like we're having right now, it really has a big problem. So, for future reference, try to get a laptop or be on a desktop computer. But we're working it, so bear with us.
Right. So again, and you can find some more questions, Donovan, but if we're dealing in individualism, it doesn't count. It doesn't count. We're talking about it as a collective because we're the only people I would think that deal in, well, I'm okay. You mow an Asian down in the middle of the street, everybody's out there protesting. Have you guys heard of a day without a Mexican when they protested when they was done wrong? They're like, we're going to shut this economy down. And most of them didn't go to work. They proved to the American government and the economy how important they were. Again, I go back to the modern day boycott of the NFL. We couldn't get black people to do it. I know that's my team. I got to be there for my team.
Well, I'm going to show you how bold the Hispanic people are. And I know a lot of people say, well, you always talk about the Hispanics. I live in a Hispanic neighborhood. I'm not mad at them. What I don't understand is if it works for them, why can't it work for us? Now, you had DACA people, over 600, I think it was, 1,200. It was over 3,000 people when the Supreme Court was deciding the DACA issue, and they're still deciding it. These people are illegal. Did anybody see ICE up there? Did anybody see ICE rounding those people up? They had no fear about being arrested or anything. They stood up for themselves, and with 3,000 people outside the damn door, I'm not saying they intimidated the Supreme Court, but it kind of gives the impression that they want what they want. Now, when the black voting rights thing came up, do y'all know how many black people are out there? 600. They even got pictures. Look it up on YouTube. They even show you the contrast between the two.
And I think we should also realize that all these other groups in America, when I say groups, races, they got the blueprint for organizing from us. They learned that from us. I had an older Asian gentleman tell me one time, he says, I always tell the younger Asians, we have no business trying to be prejudiced and racist against Black people because it is because of Black people that we are able to enjoy the things that we have. Now we should be on our knees thanking Black people. So everybody else has taken the things that our ancestors have put together and they're using it for our benefits. It is only us now in 2020 that acts so helpless, like we don't know what to do. We were born to do this.
Exactly. Quentin Skane, sorry, again, apologize if I got your name wrong. We have to make a stand, which leads to a statement that we are tired of this treatment by the police or anyone who feels that it's okay to our Black people. When we see this, we must be willing to take action because we could be next. We have to stop being afraid of the police and start standing up for our race and justice. Amen, brother. Amen.
And that's really the premise of what we've been saying. I mean, enough is enough. When is it going to just finally come to a head and we're going to say, okay, that's it. I've had it. Like we should have been at that point a long time ago, but I would just impress upon you guys, us as Black people, what do we, like, we got to let go of the fear. There's nothing to be afraid of. We are living the worst nightmare ever. Nothing could get much worse for Black people in America. And, we always make a joke, and we shouldn't really say it's a joke because it looks like it's becoming more and more true. We are not that far from being on a plantation again at the rate we are going as Black people. Now, I know a lot of you guys are probably saying, I ain't gonna be no slave. What you gonna do? They murdering Black people wholesale in broad daylight in any and all times of the day. And we ain't doing nothing. So it wouldn't be a far-fetched thing to think that we could all be singing low and swinging high, whatever they was doing, picking cotton. It's not that far-fetched. So
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, right now with this pandemic that's going on, guys. I mean, and it's just the lifestyle that we lead nowadays. Let's be real. I know Black people, we like to highball, and we really, aren't as rich as we like to look rich, but we know we're not fundamentally rich. Okay, you got that $300 Jordans, but you're living in, whatever neighborhood, the lower income neighborhood or whatever, right? How many of you guys right now got laid off of your job and you have a house note due? $1,200 ain't going to help you. So now you're at the mercy of losing your house. Do you know most of Black wealth is either if you own a home, your home, or your car? Now, how do you antiquate wealth in a car that depreciates in value? But they do. So if that is our only wealth, it is foreseeable that in less than 12 years, we will be a slave. I mean, it's just foreseeable.
And I see Francine, you say, I want to go to Minnesota too. I think we should organize where we are. Because as I said, there'll be a Minnesota, there'll be a California, there'll be a New York. I mean, we got issues everywhere. We need to organize where we are. Now, like I said, there's a lot of Black Panther chapters who are doing the work, and they need us to help them do the work. I get tired of seeing our Black Panther brothers and sisters out there with 10, 15 people at the most trying to take on.
Oh, it says everybody can hear me.
Oh, we can hear you. Eureka. We hear them.
You can hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you. We just can't see you now.
Oh, okay.
We can hear them, Gary.
Oh, okay. So
right.
Let's see.
Real quick, Jamila Sadler. I rent. I lost my car, but you know what? For everybody that's in a situation like Jamila,
yes.
Don't lose heart, because you just start all over again. Because the good thing is,
the right thing to do, wasn't it?
They didn't lose your credit. Okay. You didn't ruin your credit.
On my screen, everyone can see and hear you now.
We can hear you.
We can do it.
You can't hear me?
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Oh, you can hear me. Okay.
We can hear you.
I don't know what. Well.
Okay.
Are we ready? Are we ready?
First of all, thank y'all. And we don't have to turn the show off. We don't have to do any of that. We had to help the state rep get past the technical difficulties. So in case y'all don't know who this man is, this is State Rep Harold Dutton from District 142 up in Houston, Texas. How you doing tonight, State Rep Dutton? Hello, State Rep Dutton. We done lost him again.
Maybe he hit mute.
I can't tell, man.
You guys hang tight. Yeah. This will happen. It will go through. Yes. But in the meantime, we'll continue taking you guys' questions. Donovan, what you see out there?
Well, again, I just want to address, if you're in a situation where you might be losing your home and all that other stuff, don't look at that as a negative thing. The most important thing you're going to need is your credit. And be honest with yourself. If you're going to lose the home, lose the home and start again. and just start again, you know?
What else you see out there?
Okay, but question-wise, Lashandria Ruffin, like David Ruffin, it's the damn blue code that hides and covers up Black killings. The justice system needs to address that mindset some police officers have. That bias shit. You're absolutely right, because let me tell you something. A lot of officers don't even know the law. Shouldn't officers at least have an associate's degree with a background in criminal justice? But they don't. They hire their buddies and their friends and family members, and there it is. And then when they do get kicked off a police department, they go to another police department and get hired, and we allow it.
Well, and as Jonell said, I don't see him on here anymore. Jonell Muhammad said that the police officers act as judge, jury, and executioner, and that's all they need to know. That's all they need to know. Their job is to subjugate your Black ass, even if it kills you, because they know not too many people are going to be up in arms about them killing Black people. Look at the difference between how the race soldiers, I'm not going to call them police officers no more.
Right, the race soldiers
treat white people and how they treat Black people. We've seen cases of white people chasing the police officers with knives and, telling them to
going up to the Capitol armed.
All of that. And they, wait a minute now, they working with them, and they, but Black
or you could be a mass murderer like Dylan Ruth, go into a Black church, murder 9 people, and they'll walk you out of the McDonald's after giving you a icy freeze.
Right. So I mean, that's what they are: judge, jury, and executioner. That is what they do. They make a decision all at the same time, and they make sure your Black ass was guilty right there on the spot.
Yeah. Exactly. Alex Powell says, question, shouldn't we stop Black on Black crime? We cannot expect respect if we're not pushing that narrative as a community. Yes, white people are racist, that's a fact, but we need to stop the violence within our own community.
Well, absolutely. I think that's a given. We need to stop Black on Black crime, if you want to call it that. But we stop Black on Black crime by improving the conditions of our neighborhoods. Ask yourself, why do crime go on in most of our communities? Because there's lack of resources in the economics. There are no jobs. There's a lot of despair going on in our neighborhoods. So if we fix those things, a lot of the attitudes and the behaviors that we have in our communities would stop. We can't just say, oh, Black people just waking up. Now, I know it's probably some situations, but that's not the overall story, that Black people just waking up killing Black people. It's more to it than that. So when we fix those conditions, then we start to fix the Black on Black crime. And I want to tell y'all, most of y'all probably already know this, there's no such thing really as Black on Black crime, just like there's no such thing as white on white crime, Asian on Asian crime, right? We know that crimes are about proximity. The people you live the closest to, in the same area to, you're going to do things to them, right? But when we fix our other conditions, then we fix the Black on Black crime.
Right. Oh man, it just jumped up. Kenny Goff says, this ain't about Black on Black right now. Don't get off track. Right.
And I love that you said that, Kenny, because, and no shade to whoever said that, but there's always somebody who wants to, those are white supremacist talking points. I just want you to know that. The Black on Black crime, those are the talking points of white supremacists to deflect and take away from what they have done to Black people and are doing to Black people. Because it's almost like saying, well, we can continue to kill y'all because y'all continuing to kill each other. And so until you stop killing each other, we ain't gonna deal with it, what we doing to y'all. That's what it's like. We're gonna give y'all a pass, or we're not gonna stop doing it because you won't stop doing it.
Right. Marcus J. Celestine says, I thought an associate degree was a prerequisite for a police officer. It depends on what jurisdiction you're in. In most jurisdictions, especially where we live, that is not a requirement. That is not a requirement. Here in California, Southern California, it definitely ain't no requirement. You can get a GED, good enough degree, and you have a wholesale license to kill.
Right. Next question.
Okay.
We're taking y'all questions, y'all.
Okay, so Kasam Rahim says, what is he saying, that we should allow people to kill us because of our race, because there is black crime?
Well, I mean, I don't know if that's what he's intending on saying, but that's what it sounds like.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Can you hear him?
No.
No. Okay, so Gary is over.
And I want everybody out there that's talking about me to reschedule, doesn't I schedule these people 2-3 weeks in advance. 2-3 weeks in advance. And you just don't run a state rep off.
Right. Gary, is there anybody at home that can help him?
Yeah, let me answer this question by Nikki A. Kaiser. Nikki, you're absolutely right. You can have a GED and go to college. Absolutely. I know a bunch of people that were in the military as officers, didn't even graduate high school. They went straight to college and got the degree. In California, if you are 18 years old, you could be a whole high school dropout. You are still allowed to go to college once you hit 18 without any degree or any prerequisite. So absolutely. So when I'm saying what I said, I'm not saying that as a negative, but I just think that if you're going to be in law enforcement, you need to know at least the basic laws of your job. You got police officers here that are just in California that are just taught stop and frisk and all that other, just the basics. And because they've got a badge, they feel that that's all the law they need. So.
Next question.
Servaz Graves, I'm sorry, again, we need to start living by the words of Malcolm X.
Immediately, we need to start living by the words of Malcolm X. That dear brother gave his life again for the liberation of Black people, and we are still not liberated. Like I said to you guys, I impress upon you, if you don't want to read, if reading ain't your thing, go to YouTube and please be inspired by the words that are still true of Malcolm X. He told us what to do a long time ago. What did he say? We need to stop singing and start swinging. Right? Enough of the we shall overcome. Now, swinging don't necessarily have to equate to violence. We can swing our money back in our pockets away from people who will never, ever seek or give us justice. But I totally agree with you.
Right. Quentin Skane says a law needs to be passed to where civilians can stop a crime being done by the police. Since it is such a thing as civilian arrest, we need to be able, I hate when I jump, be able to do exercise the same.
Once again, we know that the Constitution was not designed to benefit Black people at all. So all those things sound good, but we will never win if we try to use the laws to our advantage. In fact, the laws are written for our disadvantage. And so we need to come up with solutions of our own. And somebody a minute ago talked about Black on Black crime. Where are the men in our neighborhoods to do our own policing and make sure people are doing what they're supposed to be doing? Where are those men to make sure it doesn't get to the point of the popo needing to come in there? Because we know when they see the police in our neighborhood, it's rarely one that looks like us. It's one that lives in suburbia, and he's bringing all those fears and misconceptions with him to the neighborhoods. And that's partially why a lot of us end up dead, because they're afraid, for their lives when they shouldn't even be in our neighborhoods in the first place.
Right. Donna Elizabeth Williams says, what's the point of all this noise? We've argued this crap before. We need solutions. Squeeze the economic system, buy only from each other, and begin to use the talent bestowed upon us and start building rockets, our own schools, universities, buy the desert, start from nothing. Now, I just want to say this. I love that idea. It's a great idea. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen because we do not have the economic base. And we do have the economic base, but Demetra, what do we do with most of our money?
We trick it off. But, I hope that really this evening is really just really reinforcing to us as Black people that we need to do something other than talk. Because I agree with everybody who's saying we talk too much. We talk too much. Like I'm just tired of talking, and I'm gonna keep saying that. And Al, I agree with you. You said stop praying and forgiving so easily would help Black people, right? And they know, you know, that like for a perfect example, the white woman that weaponized her whiteness and called the police on the Black man in New York. I'm sorry. You're sorry. Exactly. You probably gave this man a mini heart attack. There's no telling all the things that was going through his mind as she's, you know, crying as a white woman in distress, and, you know, saying a Black man was doing something to her. She says, I'm sorry. And I guarantee you there's a bunch of Negroes out there, especially those in the church. Well, we got to forgive. It's the only way we're going to get to heaven. Mm-hmm. Hey, you know what? What did Sophia say to Celie on The Color Purple? She says, you think about heaven later, you better bash Mr. Head in now. We need to work on heaven here on earth. Because as I always say, ain't nobody been to heaven to even know it exists. And if you've been to heaven, why did you come back if it was so great?
Exactly. Terrell Young says, there is a real test for law enforcement. I took a law enforcement test and I heard the N-word in the classroom. You should have at least a psychological test, social media checks, etc., before you can get into criminal justice class. We do it for nursing programs. What do you think about that? Can it work?
Can you repeat the question? I'm so sorry.
Yes. He says that he heard the N-word in the classroom. You should have at least a psychological test, social media background checks, etc., before you can get into a criminal justice class. We do it for nursing programs. What do you think about that? Can it work?
Well, yeah, and I've also heard that argument quite a bit, that, you know, cosmetologists have to go through more rigorous training to do your hair and, you know, your skin and your nails than police officers have to go. Cosmetologists, I think, have to do, they used to, because I used to be 1,600 hours in the classroom before they can even be off on their own and get licensed. And so I'm not really for sure what it takes and how many hours a police officer has to go through, but we clearly know there's something wrong with their psychological examinations. Yes. Because a lot of them are getting through, you know, and clearly some ain't right upstairs, right? So, I mean, I don't think there's a fix to that, because I think they're hiring. In fact, I know they're hiring police officers who are already preconditioned to be adverse to Black people, even to and including murder. Yes. Some of them get on the force to be able to do that, believe it or not.
Absolutely. Tamika Jones Motley says, how many people out there has a Roth IRA that you are maxing out every year? And James Pritchard says, the way the police kill us, she should get attempted murder. And then Stacy Campbell says, in regards to the Central Park dog jogger, whatever she was, apology not accepted.
I mean, absolutely. But again, we just really, we got work to do, Black people. We need to stop fighting with each other. You know, we need to stop fighting about religion and politics. Black people, we are all we have at this moment in time. Black men and women, we need to put our differences to the side, and we need to get together so we can save each other. Because, you know, if it's bad for us now, imagine how much worse it's going to be for our children. Do we want our children? Like I told you guys before, my daughter's a 27-year-old woman and she's afraid. She says, I'm just like, my anxiety is really bad because I don't know what it's going to be like for me. You know, it's like, this is on us. This is on us. We got to do something about it right away.
Right. You know, I have an idea. Maybe if we go ahead and transition to the other show and get out of this show and then redo and bring our guest on, do you think that would work?
It's not on our end. It's not on our end. It's on his end. Right. Because everybody can hear us, so it's on his end. It's probably the equipment he's using. He might need to get on a laptop. Right. What else we got out there?
And Terrell Young says, yes, thank you, because when he said the N-word, he didn't know I was in the back of the classroom. He never came back. That's one way I know the white supremacists are getting into law enforcement, just like the FBI report said. Well, let me tell you a quick story, Terrell. When I was in the military as a pilot, they send you to survival school. You got to go through all this training, but they send you to survival school. And I went to survival school, 14 days in the jungle or whatever in the forest, and we had to go survive, right? And I'm one of, 8 blacks that went through. So I'm in there. They catch me. They throw me in this cage. They start beating the crap out of me, simulated, and start breaking my fingers and stuff like that, right? And then they kept using the N-word, and I'm just appalled because here's one thing I know: when you go to other countries, yeah, some of them know the word. They know the N-word, but they're not going to call you that like in a combat situation. So I'm kind of thinking about this guy and I'm saying, wait, this isn't training. This is not training because this wouldn't even be in the damn book. Right.
Right.
But I did find this out. Okay. So if you guys got relatives that are in the military, tell them this, and it's a fact. Unless I'm the son of Colin Powell or I'm Obama's nephew or somebody famous or somebody that they can use, a black soldier has no value as a prisoner of war. So basically, my instructor told me that if I got shot down, most likely I'm going to be shot right there on the spot near the plane or wherever they catch me because I have no value. And that's a true story. So Terrell, what you're saying is, I think it's just ingrained in the culture of all the institutions, military, and so on, and so forth. So that's what we're dealing with, race soldiers all over the place.
Okay, so it sounds like the representative is trying to, he is on a laptop, but is not connecting for some reason. So we'll figure it out by the time we leave here. So what else you see up there?
It says, Grave says, that's why I always had a problem and I could never live by the words of Martin Luther King. Take a rock in the head and keep on walking. We have to do any and everything by any means necessary to prove we are as a people and that we won't accept it anymore. We really can't sit back and wait for the white race as a populations to eventually become the minority because you already see the influence within the police department across the United States. Don't get me wrong. You don't have a few good officers and your thing came out, but she's absolutely right. But do you know what I think that we need to do as a people? We need to start populating. Do you guys realize we have not moved past 13% since the early 60s? Why is that?
Right.
And I'm not saying going out there and do a future. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to start populating and get our numbers up. Do you know that the Asian community in the 1970s was at 3%? And a lot of those people we brought from Vietnam.
Right.
They're at 8% now.
Right.
Hispanics, they're at what, 34%?
So 20s, I think, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. So, we have to start populating.
Right. And Al says, explain to people why civil rights didn't help. Well, I guess civil rights maybe helped for what they were trying to get. And I'm not trying to always deduce it down to drinking and eating and sleeping and living next to white people, but that's pretty much what civil rights got people. But what it harmed, the way it harmed us is that it dilapidated our communities and that we didn't stay together. We wanted to go be amongst people who didn't want us to be with them. And our economy took a dump, if you will, our neighborhoods and everything else in between. And we have not caught up to where we were back then. Back then, white people and white organizations were trying to figure out ways to get the black dollar because we were a really tight-knit group. We had everything we needed. And when civil rights came in, we didn't want to be with each other no more. Like that just blows my mind when I think about it. We were so, now obviously a lot of us weren't there, but our ancestors for the most part, and the baby boomers, if you will, they were so like ready to leave their own people who loved and understood them, to go be around the people who was very hostile and adverse to them in every way, shape, and form. White flight took place, and that is a term that happened when we were allowed, if you will, to go live with white people. They said, well, we don't want to live next to you, and they moved. That right there should have been like a giveaway to us that, okay, maybe this is not a good idea. How about we go back and be amongst our people and do what we need to do for our people? So I always call it the false idea of civil rights because, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, and Dr. Claude Anderson, a few others says, we can never have civil rights until we have human rights. Black people need to be treated as human first before we can even think about civil rights. Most white people don't see black people as humans, because I guarantee you $1 to a donut. If that police officer had his knee on a dog's neck, you know how many white people would have came out of the woodworks and bum rushed that fool? So until we are treated like humans, civil rights is off the table. Right. White people who are AKA are the master, they're not going to give the slave equal rights, because that means they're no longer superior.
Right. Ty Smith says, to breed in more victims for police, and he's talking about the population thing that I just addressed. What I'm saying is, Ty Smith, is we're dying out. You don't even see black people in Southern California anymore. Our neighborhoods are being gentrified. We're dying out as we're interbreeding and we're intermixing with other races. And when we are not the majority, why do you think that the Democratic Party is caping for the Hispanics? Why do you think they're doing that?
Right.
For kicks? No, they're doing it for votes, because that's going to be the majority people that's going to decide what's going to happen in this country until most of the white people brown out. So, I understand where you're saying with that, but 60 years at 13%, there's an agenda going on to keep us at that number or lower. So we got to do something about that.
I've been watching this, and I've been watching the comments, and I've been watching y'all all this goddamn talking. I'm getting on a fucking plane in a couple of days. Fuck all this talking, man. You know what you need to do. Get your coward ass in the house, or get your coward ass out the house. All this, what we gotta do? What's the agenda? Shut the fuck up and get a gangster shit to the gangsters. Go sit your ass on the sofa like an armchair quarterback, and those that have to die to give your black ass liberty, that's what we prepared to do. All this talking is for bullshit. I want to talk no motherfucking more. I want to bust ass like they doing.
What we waiting on? I just want to know what we waiting on.
Exactly.
I want to know why now. What are we waiting on? And in all fairness, there's a lot of people who need to hear what's being said, because a lot of people just don't know what they don't know. So we need to have this dialogue. Now, go ahead, Donovan.
Well, Carl says Black people need to take a good look at what the LGBTQ LMNOP community and take note at what they achieved. But you got to remember, Carl, they achieved that because they have what? Wealth.
And unity.
Right. And if you don't have no money in this country, you don't call no shots. It's just as simple as that. And that's the problem. This economic scale, we're at the bottom of it. And that's what this pandemic has shown. We are at the bottom of the economic scale. But as a consumer, we're on top. And that is totally backwards.
Right.
So Django Grant says, let your sword judge in the face of the enemy. And when they enter upon a land disgrace, then leave. And when you're tested with an oppressor, then become an oppressor.
Right. But,
that's an eye for an eye, right?
Absolutely. What else we got?
Dawn Elizabeth Williams says, yes, let's burn this shit down. Quentin Scan says 100. Servas Graves says, waiting on a real person like me, like another Malcolm X. And Terrell Young says, this was a white alley ship group, a liberal group, a get out movie group. Louise Buffin says, I agree with the 5-star. All this damn talking, marching, and praying isn't helping. Our people are still being killed like animals, like Malcolm X said, by any means necessary.
All right. So when we gonna mount up? When we gonna do it?
Right. When are y'all leaving? Where are we gonna meet in Minnesota? The Mall of America? I mean, where are we saddling up?
Because they say actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Vanden Smallwood says that's not the issue here. We got people in power in uniforms being an executioner, and the things as us Black people should do is giving back to our communities by having growth of resource economics. With that being said, grow or make banking institutions, because the banks are where the money is to help our young youth, and it is a backbone in this world. When it became a God we trust, because a Black man with money can get out of jail and a poverty one cannot. And for the record, I'm a veteran, and your thing cut off. I just have this question, and I agree with you, Vanden Smallwood, as well. However, and Demetra and I always ask this question: how many of you guys vote for the local judge? How many of you guys vote for the local prosecutor? How many of you guys even know their names? Wouldn't that be a start? Getting our people in there to, understand our situation and our economics. So when you get in there and they're putting you in on 3 strikes for an ice cream cone that you stole, they kind of understand, what's going on. But, Joe Biden, whose son got kicked out of the Navy for cocaine, this is the guy that wrote the crime bill, and a lot of y'all are going to be voting for him. Got kicked out for cocaine. Did his son go to jail? Did his son experience what he wrote for us? Go look this stuff up. Absolutely not.
Right. And then I'd like to take on
But yet, for Joe Biden, he's gonna solve our problems.
And Donna, I think you hit the nail on the head. Donna Elizabeth Williams, you hit the nail on the head. A vision without a plan is a hallucination. Let's plan carefully. Right? You think, they just went out there and just willy-nilly just tried to take on a revolution? It was planned. And it wasn't planned on Facebook at all. Donovan's been in the military 152 years. He'll tell you the generals didn't have their plans all out on, Facebook. They got people together and then they did a sneak attack. Now, I know that ain't the technical term for it, but you planned and you plotted on your enemy so they didn't know you was doing it. All this, woofing and stuff on Facebook. I mean, come on, really? But I agree with you 100%. We need a solid plan, and nobody should know. A whole lot of people should know that plan. The people who are serious should know that plan. Next.
But in regards, I really hope that people continue to follow this story, because what I find when all of these stories, Trayvon Martin, whatever, you got the, it's a tragedy for a little while. Then we go on to the next killing. Then we go on to the next killing. Then we go on to the next one. When are we going to just say, and that is it, we are done? Let's move on. Right.
And so, I mean, I agree. I feel Gary's frustration. It's enough talking, but I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I think y'all know what needs to be said without having to say it. We especially got to be careful on something like this, but it's far past time. The time is up. I always talk about it. My father, he's an older gentleman, but they don't make him like him anymore. Because my father was about that life when he was younger. He can't really do a lot now because he's much older, but all this stuff going on now, you wouldn't have been able to hold a man like him back. And it was other people who was willing to go in the trenches with him. And I impress upon you guys too, to watch the spook who sat by the door on YouTube. That right there was written in the 70s. They called it a blaxploitation movie, but it was so much more than that, I promise you. The spook who sat by the door, they was giving us the game as Black people. And here we are still today. And the ending is probably my favorite part because it was unwritten. It was more or less like, now it's up to you guys. What are you guys going to do? Here is the blueprint. So in your spare time, I suggest you guys go watch that. It's on YouTube for free. The Spook Who Sat by the Door. You will not be sorry. and it's going to open your eyes to what needs to be done. Because a lot of us, we have all this information, we have all this education, we know what to do, but we're not doing anything with it. Like, we need people that can get together and mobilize men. The Nation of Islam has a thing called 10,000 Fearless, where they want 10,000 fearless men and women to come together to go out into the neighborhoods and help save our people. So we need people who are good at organizing, motivating, and inspiring people to take action. Now, I'm not telling y'all what to do, but I'm saying we need people to get out there in those trenches and really start making some moves. Men and women at this point. We would that women wouldn't be on the front lines because that's out of order. But I know a lot of women, including myself, who would not mind being on the front lines if that's what we got to do. Because I refuse to live in a state, and I'm not just talking about physically, but a mental state to where not only am I afraid to make moves, but my daughter and, everybody else I know and don't know are afraid to just be Black in America.
Important question here. Kasim Rahim says, minorities made a big mistake when they did not vote in the last election. If Black people don't get it together, we are doomed. There is a plot underway that is multifaceted to destroy us. My question for Mr. Rahim, and it's just a question. What Hillary have done different? We voted 80% in that election. We overwhelmingly give our vote to the Democratic nominee every year for the last 60 years. And I'm just asking, how can you put that onus on us? The reason why Trump is in office is because Democratic white women voted for him.
Right.
So, I see what you're saying, but the Democrats don't have an answer. 60 years, they don't have an answer for us. They won't even give us reparations. They give us a study. And that's the difference between the 5-star and Demetra and me. I'm about the money. Give me my check. I can solve my own problems. Matter of fact, I'm getting the hell up out of here.
And Sabaj says the Nation of Islam only goes outside to recruit Black men and women when they see them rioting and looting. That's a lie. That's a lie. And I impress upon you, because I'm not going to give you all the game. So impress upon you guys to go do your research. Like, people argue things they have no knowledge of. They recruit everybody. Muslims, and they're working with everybody. Muslims, Black men and women, all over, because no matter what religious affiliation you have, Black people in general are in trouble. And so many people buck the minister because your pastor done told you not to like him. White people told you not to like him. But Farrakhan has dedicated most of his life to try to liberate Black people. And all we can do is try to find ways and reasons why we should not join him in what he is doing. Because Black people, regardless of what you believe in, are in trouble. Period. Can't hear you.
Absolutely. So are we still working on the guest?
I think so. I saw that we got another link, so we might be coming back with a new. Okay. I don't know. We'll wait for it. Sorry.
Right. Raul Hernandez says, "Give me my money in my Chris Tucker voice." Exactly. I mean, that's where I come from. It. Demetra comes from it from a different aspect. As we see the 5-star general, he comes up from the different aspect. But for a lot of you guys that don't know, when Demetra talks about group economics, we don't just talk about it. We're about it. We all individually have our own shows. We have our own podcasts. And we come together on this platform to give you guys a different perspective of how to look at solving some of the problems within our community. And I think one of the biggest problems is lack of wealth, because we have no wealth, which is a kind of an oxymoron, because we do have wealth. $1.7 trillion we just give away. But we don't have any major corporations. We don't have control of the economics within our community. And that's the sad thing about it.
Right. And so to this topic that we just spoke about, a vision without a plan is a hallucination. Let's plan carefully. Again, we should not be planning on here. We shouldn't be doing all that on here. We need to be going underground to do those things. That's why I asked you guys to watch The Spook Who Sat by the Door, because that movie gonna give you the game. Because I agree, we do too much talking on here. That's why me personally, I'm very careful with what I say and do on social media. If I'm gonna do something, I'm not gonna tell all 5,000 of my friends.
Well, I'm a little different.
Get together.
I'm a little different. I whether it's politics, school board, I want them to clearly understand I'm finna put my foot in their ass, and I ain't finna hide around no corner when I get it done. I don't hide when I pay my taxes. I don't hide when they want this and that from me. Some days you just got to kick the front door open, and you got to go in and do what you got to do.
Yeah, but you're not gonna tell them you're gonna kick the front door open.
And I'm telling them I'm gonna kick the front door open. If you got enough people with you when you kick it open, you're going to get what you want.
And that is the problem. Taking enough people with you. So after we get off of here, for everybody who live in Houston and know Gary and all of that, he's trying to get to Minneapolis. I imagine your inbox going to blow up. Where to go down is supposed to go down and all of that, right?
Let me say this to you, Mom. I'm 5'4" tall. I'm about 315 pounds. Whenever I decided to go to a fight in 52 years, I didn't care if my partner showed up. If they don't show up, I'm going to show up. And if you whoop me, you're going to have to whoop me every single day. And I'm not getting off the gas. See, I know how to whoop these people with a pen and a paper nowadays. So I'm not going to get up off the gas. And I like to see the high-powered politicians sitting in corners and they scrounging and they like this here because they don't know what to do with my little fat ass at that point. Because once I lock on you, I'm not going to let you go. So you don't need a big-ass army. You just need some soldiers.
Agreed.
And you need some people that's ready to do what you ready to do. With a clear understanding. We gonna take this ride. We might not make it home. They don't even want to deal with them 5 people. They'd rather deal with 5,000 of them that ain't gonna do shit but walk down the freeway. Now I got Mr. Dutton on the phone. We just gonna do this on the phone. Mr. Dutton, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. I hope you can hear me now. Can you?
We can hear you. We just couldn't get you on.
You.
So
well, they always told me I had a good face for radio.
I tell you what, man, thank you for being patient.
Well, thank you. I don't know what happened, man. I was on a Zoom call earlier, and it went fine, and then all of a sudden now something happened to my computer, and then it happened to my cell phone, but anyway, hey, that's the way things are sometimes.
Okay,
you just have to get it done in spite of it.
Well, can you guys hear Mr. Dutton? Let's make sure that the audience can hear you. Okay, so they can hear you. Can y'all hear him, Dimitri? All right, Dimitri, you we just jump into the interview, Mr. Dutton, and start asking questions. Well, first of all, how long have you been a state representative?
Back in 1984. In 1984, I was working at Conoco in the corporate planning section, and I'd been assisting Mickey Leland and El Franco, and Mickey Leland and El Franco one day came to me and took me to a place called Mill and said, guess what, we got this idea. Franco's going to run for county commissioner, and we think you ought to run for state representative. Prior to that time, I'd been the director at Hester House. I'd done all kinds of things in the community. I was the president of the board at St. Elizabeth Hospital and the like. And so they thought that was a good idea. At the time, I didn't think it was a good idea because I quite frankly thought that, I was on another path. In fact, I was the first Black professional that Conoco ever hired. And so I thought I was on a path to maybe get into the higher ups at Conoco. Well, I changed my mind, and because I talked to a number of people about it, my dad included, and he said, well, he was all for it. And then I told him what the job paid was $600 a month. And he said that was crazy for me to do that. But I did anyway. So in 1984, I ran for office. In 1985, it was my first session. It was the 69th session of the legislature. And so I've been there ever since.
Wow. Man, that's a long time.
It is. It is. My hair has turned a whole lot grayer. I may not kick as high, but I kick still. And so, the legislature is one of the places that still, you just kind of have to be there in order to get things done.
All right, Mr. Dutton, me and you done went to war on the state capitol steps, fighting for bills for kids and education.
Absolutely.
And one of the things that you get a lot of flack for is the bill 1842.
Yes,
1842 and 1882. Now, what I want you to do, if you can, because I know the real story of why you co-authored that bill.
Right.
Tell these people how Terry Greer was trying to handle you when you was trying to get Wheatley and Cashmere fixed.
Well, Terry was one of these people, man, that he really grew up in a whole different time, and he wasn't ready for where he was, where you have a black influence. I'll just give you one idea about him. I was at a restaurant one night, and he walked in with his wife. And so I got up to speak to him, and the first thing that his wife said to me was, we'd like a table for two. And he started apologizing because he said, well, he doesn't work here. And I thought, oh, she thinks I work here. Let me tell you, his attitude about Northeast Houston was to put it in the garbage can as far as education was concerned. He didn't care much about what was going on in Northeast Houston. The only thing I ever got that man to do that might have seemed like a good idea at the time was he called me one day and he said he was going to close E.O. Smith. Now, E.O. Smith was a junior high school. It's the junior high school I went to. And he said he was going to close it. And I was arguing with him about not closing it because we got to do something with it. And he said, well, tell me what. I thought back to the days when my son had graduated from Morehouse and how I felt on that Sunday morning when I saw these 550 men come running across, black men who came running across who were getting their college degree. And I told Terry Greer, I said, look, why don't we make it a all-boys school? And he asked, well, can we do that? And he didn't want to do it, but, I was able to kind of talk to some other people and got them to talk to him, and all of a sudden he did it. But that's about the only thing he did in Northeast Houston. As far as he was concerned, there were several people he had put in Northeast Houston. Didn't want to do it, but I was able to kind of talk to some other people and got them to talk to him, and all of a sudden he did it. But that's about the only thing he did.
Go ahead.
Yeah. And these people I think were sent here to destroy Northeast Houston. And in fact, it supported the racist education delivery system they have, because right now, if a kid in Northeast Houston wants to get a quality education, they've got to get on a bus every morning to go across town to go to one of those schools.
So basically, they can't go to the black school to get a quality education. They got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, catch a bus, and go to the white school.
Yep, and that's why I've been saying that HISD is in the transportation business in Northeast Houston, not the education business. Because I don't see why it is they're that way. Now, having grown up in Northeast Houston, I can tell you the only Fulbright scholar I know, the only one I know personally, Fulbright scholar, was Marion Ford, who was a graduate of Wheatley High School, who lived not too far from me. And so what the only point I'm making about that is that there's nothing wrong with the children in Northeast Houston. There's something wrong with what we're giving them. And I think what we've been giving them is the wrong thing. And so as a consequence, then we get to complain about what they do and yet we were the cause of what they do.
Okay.
And so that just, to me, was absolutely crazy. And Terry Greer and I fell out about all of that because he just did not think much of Northeast Houston.
Okay, yeah, they didn't put a lot of time, effort, money, quality teachers into Cashmere and Wheatley. I mean, Cashmere for several years didn't even have a certified math teacher.
Right. And I complained to the board members about it. And when I was complaining to several of the board members, one of them said to me, "Well, Harold, you need to talk to your school board representative." I said, "Well, I'm talking to you. You're my school board rep." He said, "No, I don't represent that area." I said, "No, sir. You represent all of HSD. You probably run for office in that particular district, but you represent all of HSD." And that was the start of 1842, because what it was designed to do was to have every board member have some skin in the game when it came to trying to correct the education disasters at Cashmere and Wheatley and all the schools in Northeast Houston, so that they would all feel at least they had to do something about getting the schools out of the education toilet in Northeast Houston. And so that was the real reason for House Bill 1842. In fact, that's the reason I stood on the House floor and told them it was a good idea to do it. Now, I never thought for the moment, though, I never thought they would ever let it get this far. I thought they would come in and fix the school, because I know they knew how to fix it. Because when I told Terry Greer about the Mickey Leland Preparatory School for all boys up there, they started it. It is the top school in HSD at this point. I mean, the absolute top. And so I know they know how to make a school work, but why they wouldn't do it in Northeast Houston, to me, seemed like it was intentional, and it was designed to do what it was doing, which was causing the futures of all of our children to be absolutely zero.
Well, you have a lot of people from Northeast Houston that's listening right now. They hung in, and they wouldn't give up, just like we wouldn't give up to get you on here. So I'm gonna take this conversation over to Northeast Houston. In your Senate district race 142, there are some issues. There are some major issues. We have a candidate that quote unquote doesn't exist. We have your runoff opponent, Jerry Davis, who does not live at the driver's license live at the address that's on his driver's license, because I shot a video in the empty lot. And I'm trying to figure out how he even got on the ballot. And now, based on articles that have come out, it looks like somebody from your camp has been implicated in ballot harvesting. And I'm not gonna say that lady's name, but it looks like she worked for you in the past. So can you speak on that for a little bit? Tell us what's going on in 142.
Well, let me start with the last thing you just mentioned. There's absolutely nobody in my campaign. Nobody, listen to me. There's not one soul in my campaign that's ever been involved in harvesting ballots of any kind. And that's an absolute, and I'll put my life on it, okay? The person who from what I saw and saw this, they tried to make a deal out of the fact that somehow or another, for me, I had twice as many mail-in ballots as my opponent did. Well, when I went back and looked at my prior races, that's about the same number of mail-in ballots that I had before when I didn't have an opponent. So I don't know how somebody made something out of that. And the other thing is, I looked at some of the things that they were talking about in this issue, about raising, that they were raising in this issue, about people out in Pleasantville. And they were talking about them having to use the same stamp or something.
Well, the person that they're talking about in Pleasantville is Gloria Palmer. So this is
I don't even know her. I don't even know who that is.
Well, just listen to me for a second, because I'm not saying you did anything wrong. Okay. But based on the information that has been put out there, that the Attorney General is now conducting an investigation on, I guess Ms. Palmer made it look like she worked for you with these early ballots that had the same stamp, same signatures, the whole 9 yards.
I have never paid anybody named Gloria Palmer a nickel. And I have never hired anybody to deal with mail-in ballots in my life, in any of my campaigns, ever, never. That never happened. And so for somebody to be investigating, I hope they do investigate it. I hope they go to the people who put out this fake video that's showing that somebody supposedly had a Carol Dutton T-shirt on, who goes over to somebody's house. And if you look at it, you don't have to have much to recognize that it's all made up. I mean, first of all, you don't go in if you were doing. You wouldn't go into somebody and say, well, just check right here for Harold Dutton. Harold Dutton wasn't the only person on the ballot at that time. And you certainly wouldn't have, if you were doing this, you would have done it in a way that, well, why don't I photograph everybody's face so we could see them? So there's just a whole lot about it. The other thing I wondered is, for the person who was deciding to investigate this race, I found out, I did a lot of checking on them too. I found out they're big Republicans. And so I started wondering, why is a Republican dicking around in a Democratic race? What's their point? What's in it for them? And I said, well, I don't know, but they can investigate me all they want to. But Harold Dutton has never done anything that even gets close to what they were talking about. And then I started looking in the article that somebody sent me, and they said they named all these people who had been paying somebody to do these ballots, but they never named me. My name was never mentioned in terms of having paid anybody a dime.
Well, see, me, I don't trust anybody's information but my own. So what I did is I went and did some homework.
Okay.
And whether Palmer was connected to you or not, those ballots are messed up ballots. And
I don't even know her.
Okay, well, I'm just telling you that the ballots, and it's just from me to you, and I'm in front of everybody just like you are, that the ballots in question are legitimate ballots with the same stamps, same signatures, the same handwriting, and all of them have your name checked on the box and Gloria Palmer's signature.
And am I the only candidate on that box?
No, you're not the only candidate, but all the boxes have the same style check marks.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So it could have been ABC candidate that hired him to check, and they checked all these names off. Not Harold Dutton, and it certainly wasn't Harold Dutton. But what I'm telling you is that if somebody wants to make, for example, let me say this to you. If you're looking at all the ballots out in Pleasantville saying something about they have the same stamp, well, wouldn't it make sense that the people in Pleasantville go to the same post office?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you would have the same stamp. Now, in terms of the same signature, I have not seen the data. I have not seen any. I don't know anything about
the data. The data is actually public record. So it's not like I had to go through a bunch of hell to get to it. So it's public record. You can get it from, the Secretary of State. They got all that. And the thing is it just makes it look a certain way. But I'm gonna say this here, whether it's to Harold Dutton or to anybody else, and no disrespect to none of the elected officials, they better stop playing these federal games before they have federal problems.
Well, I think that anybody who creates a disincentive for people to go vote, and I think that's what all this amounts to, which is what saddens me more than anything, because I don't think, with all the things going on in Northeast Houston, to throw this in, the video was something that came up in the 2000, it came up about two years ago, 2018 campaign. So I don't know why somebody brought it up again, because the organization who did this video, I challenged them and asked them to take the original video to the AG's office so they could evaluate it and determine it. You know what they did? Nothing. They wouldn't even take it over there. They called me and said, well, they had this video. And I said, well, okay, send it to them. So he sent me a copy. I said, well, take the original over there to the AG's office and let them take a look at it if you think something criminal went on. And nothing ever happened because that video was made up. That was all planned I can't say it any more forcefully, but it was designed by somebody to create problems in Northeast Houston with people's right to vote, with people wanting to go vote.
So I'm gonna ask this question, and I'm gonna turn it over to Dimitri.
All right.
Knowing that when you go to file to run for the position, you have to present your driver's license. Am I correct?
Yep.
The address that is on Jared Davis's driver's license, there's no house there. Do you, as a state rep, as an attorney, elected official, should Jared Davis even be in this runoff with you now that I have proven that this man does not live at the address that he has on his driver's license?
I don't think the guy ought to be a city councilman. You have to live in the district to be a city councilman. And so when you choose not to live in the area that you want to represent, it's why the area starts to look a certain way, because you don't live there. We've got so many places around here being dumped where people are doing all kinds of dumping that it's absolutely horrible. I went by the place where he said he lives over at 5517 Pickfair. And I thought, well, if he lived there, why wouldn't you have a yard sign with your name on it out there? You didn't even have one, because that's not where he lives. And
first of all, we talking about Jared Davis, Mr. $3,000 suits, $2,500 shoes, and that house on Pickfair. Ain't no way in hell Jared Davis live in that house.
No, and that's the house that he uses for his address.
So here's the thing, and then I'm gonna get this to Dimitri. Harold Dutton has been a hell raiser. Why the hell you ain't raising hell about this right now?
Well, the thing is, I told somebody, some lawyers came to me, and they wanted to take this on and do what they could to kick him off. I said, well, let me just go beat this guy in the street, because I don't want him to run for anything else in Northeast Houston. I don't want him to run for anything, because he doesn't live in Northeast Houston. And my thing is, if you don't live in Northeast Houston, you certainly don't carry any of the things that you need to have in order to make Northeast Houston, a better place to live and work and raise a family.
Dimitri.
Well, hello, Representative. I'd like to once again welcome to the War Zone, and thank you so much for trying your hardest to come on here so the people can hear what you have to say. And so I just want to ask you some really simple questions, I believe. So it sounds like you are on your 17th term, and it's also said that you are the longest serving representative in Texas state history. Is that right? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can he hear me? He can. Well, we can't hear you though.
Now can you hear me?
Yeah,
talk, Mr. Dutton.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
I'm sorry.
Yes.
You can't hear me?
Yes, she can hear you.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I'm not the longest serving member. I'm number 3 in seniority. Representative Santonia Thompson is second, and Tom Craddock is first. Tom Craddock came in the 60s, I think, to the House. And Santonia came in the early 70s, and I came in the early 80s.
Okay, so
middle 80s, okay?
Okay, so it's safe to say that you've been there a long time, and I'm in Southern California, so I have to do my research on you. So it sounds like you represent the 142nd district, which also serves the 5th ward. Is about 82% of Black people living there. Does that sound about right?
Yep, that's where I grew up.
Okay, so I guess the question I have for you is, have you seen anything really change for the condition of Black people since you were in there, I guess roughly around 1985 until now? Because I've seen a lot in regards to Houston, the 5th ward, and all of that. A lot on the first 48. Forgive me. That's just kind of where I remember it. And it doesn't seem like a lot has changed. What is your perception of that since you've been in there? It sounds like 17 terms.
I'll just give you one example. I'll just give you one example for right now, based on the time we have. One of the major structures in this ward is Hester House. I don't know if you've probably ever heard of Hester House. Hester House was a place, as a community center, that probably every child in Fifth Ward, starting with Barbara Jordan, all the way to George Foreman, to Mickey Leland, to El Franco, and on and on. I could go on and on. Thousands and thousands of children who came through. Well, it had been going down. And so what I did one day is I sat at my desk in the Capitol, and this is why seniority makes a point. But I was sitting at my desk, and I thought one of the things I always wanted to do was I wanted to make sure that Hester House thrived, and Hester House needed a new gymnasium. And so I always wanted to enclose a swimming pool, because in Houston, Black kids didn't have an opportunity to swim year-round because they didn't have indoor swimming pools. Well, I thought it would be a great idea to get kids involved in swimming. So what I did is I was able to get the state to put in $5 billion at Hester House. And well, actually, we did it in the county because there's a state law that the state can't put any money, build any buildings except on state property. So what I had to do was give the money to El Franco Lee and the county, and then the county built a whole new health and fitness center, a indoor pool, and a gym. Now, if you go to that, if you go to that pool every morning now, what you'll see is hundreds of seniors who are taking water aerobics at that pool, who are there every day and having just one heck of a time, both in terms of getting their health back and getting the kinds of exercise they need. In addition, the gymnasium now it's a place where people can go without it. That's just one example. I mean,
okay, well, Representative, I don't mean to cut you off. And the Esther House and all those things sound really lovely. Because and I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just trying to get an understanding, because there's some people on here who really want you to answer questions. Because there's a few other people on here, are, I guess, kind of saying that the Esther House makes up for all of the things that are going on in your neck of the woods in Houston. And so am I to understand that everything is going good due to the Esther House, and you guys really don't have any issues? Is that what I'm understanding?
No, that's not what I said, ma'am. I hope you're listening this time.
I'm listening.
But we can't sing together. We can sing together, but we can't both talk at the same time, because I'm not understanding. But you asked a question and you made certain accusations, and I feel I can say it too. When I first got elected, one of the major problems they had in this whole Northeast Houston was very few people could get homeowners insurance. So I went to work on that to change that, so that I created, after one session, 2 sessions, I created what's called the FAIR Plan, where now almost all of the people in Northeast Houston have the FAIR Plan as a basic home insurance. And now we no longer have that same problem. I could go on and on with things. I just didn't know you wanted me to go down the list. But you're taking one thing I said and trying to say that I was trying to say that there was a cure-all for everything. That's not what I'm saying. I was going down the line, but based on the time, I didn't think you wanted me to do that. But I could go on and on and on, never, with a whole lot more than what you have time for.
And that's fair. That's fair. I got to go. That's on you guys. I guess I'm just trying to figure out, and I'm not saying that there's a lot of great things that are not happening in your district, but I'm just trying to figure out why does it seem like things are kind of the same, especially the conditions for a lot of Black people in your district. And I'm getting these a lot of this from the comment section. Somebody made a comment, because I know you probably can't see him, that Trump would probably liken the district to an S-hole, like he called the countries in Africa. So what do you say about a comment like that? And that sounds like somebody who lives there.
I think it takes an a-hole to say that. That's what I think. I think the person who says that about Fifth Ward or about any place in Northeast Houston is absolutely insane. Clearly, let me say this to you, and I know I don't have to say this to you, but clearly we have problems that haven't been solved. And clearly, all of the problems have not been solved and not been addressed in a successful fashion, so that we can all live in sort of this utopian society. That hasn't happened. But what has happened is that we have decided that the things that, for instance, that Gary and I was fighting for, the education of our children, we have to fight literally to make sure we get that education, to get the quality education that we know, because we know that's the only way these children are going to have a future, is because we create a positive education environment that gives them that future. Now, I don't have to tell you, all of our kids aren't getting an education. Some of them aren't getting an education because they're going to school. Some of them not because, like the little boy, the young man told me, I asked him why was he not going to school. He said, well, he didn't know what school to go to because his mom had moved 12 times in one school year. So he didn't go, and so his mom didn't make him go. His mom didn't support him and going to school. And so, what I mean, with things like that, we've got to figure out a way to create alternatives for children who decide that they want to get an education. And we've got to make sure that they get one, and that's what I'm going to do. Having said that, let me say this to you. One of the things that I was writing a paper on it, and I haven't finished it, but I hope you'll understand me. For many of us, like elected officials, we have been working on the outer conditions of our people, and we should work on that. We should work on the outer conditions of it, because we need to change some of the circumstances that they face. However, one of the things that needs to happen, that we should ensure, we should do everything we can to do, is we should create an environment where their thinking changes, where the thinking becomes a part of the success of getting our people where we want them to be. And let me just give you one example. For example, I can legislate all day, for example, that an apartment complex ought to have a dumpster. But I can't legislate the people who live there putting the trash in the dumpster. Somehow or another, we've got to figure out a way that creates an opportunity for our people to get out of the hole mentally that we've been in. I think you all were discussing that earlier to some extent in terms of the police and the police shootings. I have been working diligently, and sometimes by myself, with trying to change the dynamics as it relates to police and the community. For example, during the last session, I had a bill that said if you were arrested for resisting arrest, they at least had to tell you what you were being arrested for in the first place. And that seemed like just so, so common sense to me but the police were totally against it. The police were totally against it. And they've been against me ever since, because, I found out from one of them who told me, he said, um, that's kind of a fallback position for police. Well, police don't need a fallback position because they've been falling back on us for a long time. When I grew up in Fifth Ward, I can tell you we had all kinds of problems with police, and we learned how to deal with it. But the point I'm making is that for a lot of us in the legislature, we've been working at changing the statutory discrimination and racism that exists in the statute. And there are a whole bunch of those. And I could go on and on with those. But the point is that people, I recognize that education for me and for you probably and for everybody who's listening to this, everybody who's doing better, they will point to an education they got as the springboard to get there. And that's why we've got to ensure, and that's why I've been trying to ensure that every child gets a quality education, no matter what their zip code is.
All right, Mr. Dutton, let me ask you a question. I'm finna put you in the hot seat.
All right.
All right. George Floyd was murdered yesterday.
Yes.
And George Floyd is from Houston, Texas, a Yates graduate class of 1993.
Right.
Every time there's a police shooting, the black elected officials across the country don't say a goddamn thing. The Black Caucus don't say a goddamn thing until they got political protection. And then they open their mouths maybe a couple of weeks later. Can you explain to us what's the delay in just a educated black man, sort of like Harold Dutton, living in America, a black politician? Why are you so silent with one of our Houstonian brothers on the ground in Minnesota?
Well, you gotta remember that what you hear is what the media reports, okay? And just what you hear, but just what the media reports is not what's being said. There are many times that I've had comments about but a whole myriad of things that never made the Houston Chronicle. In fact, the Houston Chronicle got so bad one time, I started my own newspaper to get my thoughts out, called the Bayou City Post. I wrote all the articles in it, and it was designed to get the word out. But let me say this to you. I don't think politicians getting out there doing a lot of talking is what's going to change the dynamics that led to the condition that Mr. Floyd was killed in. I don't think that's going to happen.
But you guys create legislation. You guys create laws. You create policies. So I'm going to challenge you. Why don't we create a law in Texas? If we got to take it all the way up to Washington and go through the big channels, that a crime like this, where these people murder us, unjustly, why shouldn't that crime be classified as capital murder? Why shouldn't it not have death penalty implications? Because if we murder a cop, that's exactly what we get. So which politician want to step to the plate, anger possibly their financial donors by saying it's time for cops to get the same justice that the criminals get when they commit murder?
Well, I let me put it this way. I agree with you. But you know what the law says now? The law says it's a third-degree felony if you assault a police officer. You know what it says if he assaults you? It says it's a Class A misdemeanor. He can do what he wants to do, basically. There are many of us. Well, let me just tell you what I think. And this has to do with policing. A lot of my other side people who are not black. We had lots of laws that were changed that basically took black people out of slavery, that got us out of it altogether. But you know what? I think we need a law to get white people out of slavery. Because somehow or another, they stayed back there and we got out. And they're still operating in the mindset that says that black people sometimes are not human, and back in the days when they were property, and somehow or another, that's the mindset they got. And that goes all the way back on us. I can hear you.
Go ahead, Mr. Dutton.
Yeah, okay. But and so I think we freed black people, but we didn't free white people.
Now I came to you with that for a reason. Because I don't know the politicians in California and Louisiana. So I'm talking to one that I respect in the state of Texas. If y'all don't do something, we about to tear this motherfucker up, man.
I have already talked to one of them, and I've already talked to one of them, and we are. See, the thing is, we gotta change the dynamics for police officers, and police officers, some of them, well, obviously, and I heard y'all talking about this earlier about Republican and Democrat. I guess you know that most police officers are Republicans. And so when we're talking about changing the dynamics, we got to talk about something about having police officers. Maybe we ought to make them hire more Democratic police officers. But I think the problem for us is that we've got this community policing, and the police don't live in the community. I mean, if I ask you, do you know where a policeman lives?
No, honestly, I don't.
I didn't think you did. I would imagine that most people who are listening to this call, I'll give them $100 for every officer they know over 10 where they live. Because we don't have that. Because one of the things I try to do is to say, okay, if you're gonna be a City of Houston police officer, you ought to live in the City of Houston. You ought to live here. Not live in, some out of way place up there that says you have to hide up there among your brethren, and so they've got this police community. But why shouldn't there be some police officers that live in the inner city? I don't think there's one.
Donovan?
Okay, great. Hey, Mr. Dutton, good talking to you. I'm talking to you all the way from Southern California. Had a few questions for you, but we're kind of running out of time. But I'm just going to ask this question for some of the people on the feed. You would be equivalent to Jim Clyburn in the Democratic Party. I mean, he's the #3 Democrat in the Democratic Party. It takes you guys a long time to climb that ladder, correct?
Well, yeah, it took us a long time to get there. I mean, it takes
right. I guess what a lot of people want to know is, are you for term limits? Yes or no?
Am I for what?
Term limits.
Term limits.
Term limit. Yes, sir. Well, let me tell you something. Every time I run for office, there's term limits involved. Okay, because if people don't want me, they can vote against me. But let me say this: what happens in term limits, and then you can go around and check it, and do like I did. Go around and take a look at it. Do you know who gets the power when you have term limits? Staffers. That's where the power goes. Now you really have less of an opportunity to do anything, because the staffers who are there simply wait out the elected official who they know is term limited, and they go away, and the staffers basically run the asylum. Okay, that's what happens. And so
right, but when you're talking term limits, we're not talking about 4 years or something like that. We're talking, let's say, a person in your position. If you've been in the House for 15 years, if you haven't done what you needed to do in 15 years, shouldn't that be enough time to say, well, I can do what I can do, and that's it? We're not talking like just 2 years or 4 years. We're talking like, let's say.
Well, you gotta understand, first of all. Well, let me put it this way. In Texas, and you're from California, so you're a little different. But in Texas, we meet in session every other year. Every other year, only for 140 days, and that's according to our Texas Constitution. And so Texans still believe that the government that governs least governs best. and as a consequence, all of us don't get to be, we don't have the kind of year-round government that a lot of places do, and I think California is one of them. But when it comes to term limits, like I said before, if you're not doing your job, if you're not doing the job that the people elected you to do, I think the people have a right to unelect you, and they also ought to have the right to elect you. I don't think that's a right we ought to take away from them. I put it in the same category as when we were considering whether or not to let 18-year-olds vote, because at one time, if you'll recall, it was 21. You had to be 21 in order to vote, and so the 18-year-olds, there was a big push by some people to have 18-year-olds right to vote, but the ones who were against it happened to be the elected officials who had the most 18-year-olds in their district. And you know why? Because they were unsure of how 18-year-olds were going to vote. Well, as it turned out, guess what happened? They didn't vote at all. They voted in such small numbers, it didn't matter. And so what I'm getting at is, if everybody comes out to vote and I don't win an election, that's the way it should be. If everybody comes out to vote. And so one of the things is try to get everybody to vote, even insofar as sponsoring a bill and getting it passed to give ex-felons their right to vote. Their right to vote, so they can go vote. Well, what happens is we have ex-felon voting rights campaign, and because we still have too many ex-felons who choose not to vote. And that's the same thing we have with our regular voters. We have too few people who decide to go and vote. And I don't understand why. And I think that ought to be, rather than working on term limits, if you have only 10 people out of the community that's voting, that's the problem, not term limits.
But most of these elections, Mr. Dutton, is over after early ballots and come in on election night. So if they ain't playing the game fair, then we being cheated out of our elected officials.
Well, if that's true, then you are.
Well, I'm gonna make a bet with Mr. Dutton in front of all y'all. We'll make this bet, Mr. Dutton, because I'm coming right to session when y'all go back in session.
All right.
If at least 2 elected officials don't go to jail, I owe you dinner at any restaurant you choose.
Well, I'll take you up on that bet.
Now, I'm going to tell you this here. Now, this old school. This going to sound old school. Somebody going to the penitentiary.
Well, I just hope they hire me as their lawyer so that I can do what I do in terms of representing people. But I can tell you this, man, from my perspective, I have never done one thing illegal in my life in terms of politics.
Now, y'all, out here with these cops, we got a blue wall. You sure y'all ain't got a political wall?
Well, there are people who are in politics and who are elected officials who obviously have different motives. And just like if you go to any profession, you'll have some people in that profession that are there for the right reasons, and sometimes you get some people there for the wrong reasons. But that doesn't overshadow the good that the majority of the people do. Now there's some bad apples. I will gladly admit that, and perhaps we don't talk about them enough as elected officials. And even though we like to blame cops for not reporting on bad cops, we don't get on elected officials for not reporting on bad officials. We don't get on good teachers for not talking about good teachers. We don't get on good ministers for not talking about bad ministers. I mean, and that's just the nature of the profession. And so I hope that whatever happens, Gary, that it doesn't create such a stain that people are less inclined to go vote. Because that's the thing that matters to me more than anything.
Demetri?
Is people going to exercising their right to vote? And that's the most important thing. But all of the things that people throw up about candidates and about whether they this, whether they that, you know, some of us, I think, by design, to get people so disenchanted with politics, they simply stay home. I hope that none of that happens, particularly in District 142.
Demetri?
And that's actually a good segue. I want to touch upon something you said. Can you guys meet you? Touch upon something you said. You said basically if the people didn't want you there, you wouldn't be there. But I'm seeing a lot of people who may feel a little bit disenfranchised in the comments, and I agree with him. If you guys want him there, continue to vote for him. If you don't, and you don't like the job that he is doing, go to the polls and vote for somebody else who is going to do the things you need to do. And I see people in the comment section asking about food. Like, how long does it take to get rid of a food desert? How long does it take to get rid of potholes? I mean, it's like the basic everyday necessities that Black people need. Everybody else's, districts, and I'm going to say everybody else, white people, they have the things that they need. Why does it take so long for Black people to finally get just the basic everyday necessities? And then lastly, I want to ask you, what is your Black agenda for the Black people in your district?
What is my what?
Your Black agenda for the Black people in your district.
Okay, let me respond to what you said at first, because I don't think perhaps your question doesn't really understand what a state representative is and does. Now, I'm trying to create a climate where some of those things that you're talking about that don't exist can exist. But there ought to be accountability for elected officials. And I support that. I think that's a good idea. That's why at the end of the session, I had 26 town hall meetings, not one big town hall meeting. I had 26 because I asked all of the clubs and organizations in my district to let me come to dedicate one of their meeting nights to me so I could come over and talk to them about the legislature and then listen to them about their concerns. So that's something that I regularly do. But at the same time, sometimes people misunderstand the areas of government. We had enough time. I'm glad, but we're glad to come back and talk about that, Gary, because I think that's one of the misconceptions that people have that get us down the wrong road in terms of how to get the problem solved. Because talking to me about getting a streets fixed, all I can do is the same thing you can do. I can call your city councilman. If you need certain things from the city, I can do that. I can call it. But now, let's talk about the Black agenda. I think the Black agenda, in terms of the way I look at it, is the same agenda that most people want with a different perspective. Let me put it this way. It's like I said to the members of the Legislative Black Caucus. All of these issues come up, affect our people, but we have an opportunity to provide a different perspective to it. And we have to do that from time to time. And by that, what I mean is this. For example, if Black boys, I'll use an example of Black boys. Black boys are at the bottom educationally in 34 states. In 34 states, there's no outcry about that. Nobody's saying anything about it. Nobody said that is absolutely terrible. And that is absolutely horrendous because we ought to do something about that. Well, I'm trying to do something about it in Texas because what I had is a bill last session that said that the whole accountability system of every ISD in Texas would be based on the progress of black males, because I recognize that if black males don't get an education, that's who they're building the prisons for. That's who they're building them for. And so part of the agenda for me, in terms of the black agenda, is to see if we can develop a whole different track and different future for our black boys.
Hold on. All right, can you hear me, Mr. Dudley?
Oh yes, I can hear you.
Donovan, can you hear me? Unmute your mic, Donovan.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go. Let's go with the final questions.
Okay.
Okay, well, let me start with that. You know, you make a lot of great points, and I really feel that, you know, you've been in there a good minute. You've done some great things. I'm a Generation Xer, and it's just kind of, you know, when you get that high in the legislator as the number 3 guy, I'm very sure you could enact a lot of policy or influence a lot of policy to pretty much help, you know, your constituents. And I understand the whole process of how it goes, and you know, you got to do this and you got to do that, but at the end of the day, I mean, the results speak for themselves. And
Correct.
you know, like I said, I'm not in Houston. It is a beautiful city. I like visiting, and I'm for term limits, regardless of, I don't care how old you are or how young you are. But I see your point as well, and we'll just leave it up to the voters.
Demetra?
Yeah, well, thank you for your input. I think it's a conversation you ought to have, because I'll tell you what. I'll tell you for me. I'm gonna just use me as an example. I started not to run for office. I started not to run again. My daughters, my oldest daughter's husband died, and so they had 2 little kids, and so I thought I'm gonna have to be a bigger grandpa, and that means some things I'm gonna have to do differently. But in talking to them and getting it straightened out, I decided that, well, I would run again. But financially, even, I'll just tell you this: financially, if I didn't run again, if the election comes up tomorrow and I lose, the state would have to pay me $11,000 a month. Now, if I get elected, the state pays me $600 a month. And so I'm not doing it for a financial gain at all. I'm doing it because I grew up in Fifth Ward. I love the people in Fifth Ward. I love the people in North Houston. And I want to see us do something that is going to be impactful to the Black community. Now, too often, I can tell you this, too often we've done things that were impressive in the Black community. And, being impressive is one thing, but being impactful is another. It's like the chicken and the pig when serving up breakfast, and the chicken laid an egg. That was impressive, but the pig would have had to give up the hind quarter for breakfast, and that was impactful. But what I'm suggesting to you is that we ought to have those kind of issues that are impactful to people, that changes their future, that changes their lives, that changes their children's lives. And I don't think we can do that in isolation. I don't think that Black elected officials can do that by themselves. I think we have to have, for example, in Texas, we've got 83 Republicans in the House and 67 Democrats, okay? I mean, so obviously, I've got to work with the Republicans because it takes 76 votes to do anything. And so I've got to figure out a way to get things done with them. Well, some of the things that they're absolutely for, I'm absolutely totally against, principally, and that creates a gap. That means we got to elect some more Democrats, because otherwise it's not going to get done. Otherwise, they won't get done. I mean, I've been trying to pass the bill to outlaw the death penalty in Texas since I've been there. Well, it never passes, and it didn't pass. But you know what it did? It created an environment. It created an environment where at least we got life without parole, so that now we've stopped using the death penalty as much in Texas and have reverted to using to using the life without parole statute, because the death penalty in Texas has been so well, it's been absolutely abhorrent to most people in Texas, and we've now found so many people who were innocent, because Texas is one of the places that you can be factually innocent and legally guilty.
But Demetra, final question.
I see it. One particular person. I'm assuming that in the campaign or related to the representative in some way, saying that Donovan and I are not from around there. Basically, I guess we shouldn't have any say so. But the fact that I'm not from around there, and I've heard rather how dilapidated the Fifth Ward is and that district is, that speaks volumes. And so I would say to you guys, if you don't like the representation you have, whether it's your representative or it's your city council or whoever, vote them out. It's really that simple. You can't blame him if you guys keep voting him in. It's really that simple. And thank you for coming.
And the situation is not nearly as dire as you would make it, as you seem to think it is. I invite you to come to Fifth Ward and let me give you a tour of it. I'd like to catch you some. I built a house over here 15 years ago. I had another house over here. I can take you to all of the places here that don't somehow or another fit apparently the mindset that you have. But again, that's not to say we don't have problems. I think we do. But I think we can go to something that says we're going to change the seats on the Titanic and not have accomplished much. But once we get down and dirty into what really makes the difference, what really we have to do to change our outcomes, then we'll be going someplace. Then we'll be doing something. And that's what I've been trying to do. That's what most of the members of the Legislative Black Caucus have been trying to do.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end it with this, Mr. Dutton. I clearly understand why you did what you did with 1842. Those that don't get it, do the research. You'll understand it. I can't rock with a teachers union that wants to throw you under the bus, but yet they spoke up for the death penalty bill that hurt black schools. I can't rock with the NAACP who wants to throw you under the bus, but yet they spoke in favor of that bill in front of the education committee. And if y'all have never been there, before you open up your mouth about me and education in the state of Texas, I have stood in front of Harold Dutton, Elmer Allen, Jimmy Dunn Acott in front of the education committee in Austin. So
that's what I hope most people listening decide to do that, because there are so many people here who don't understand the process but don't involve themselves in it so they can understand and so they can be part of it. And then the thing is, the bottom line is, their involvement helps. About the same things they're complaining about, they've got to be involved in to make sure it comes out the way they want it to.
Well, my final question is simple. If the politicians sit quiet, because you're on here with us, so you're not watching what's going on in Minnesota right now.
No.
So it's buck wild right now. So if the politicians in Texas sit quiet, while Gary Monroe is telling them that we ain't taking it no more, what you think your response gonna be if we tear this motherfucker up?
I'll be with Gary Monroe.
Well, let's rock.
I think that most people don't realize, while we had a Martin Luther King, we also had an H.Rap Brown.
Well, I tell you what, my friend, I appreciate you coming on, and I appreciate you being, and I appreciate you being patient with us. And you invited back anytime you want to come. We're gonna figure out that connection thing for you.
All right, thank you all, and thank you very much. And let's go vote.
All right, my brother.
All right, bye-bye.
Oh, there it is.
Here's my thing. I'm watching the comments. Y'all don't want no motherfucking help over there. Let's get this straight, man. We ain't trying to fix your side of town. If you comfortable with your side of town, with the crime rate being 54% higher than the national average, then get the dime. If you comfortable with not having enough testing sites with COVID-19, get the dime. If you comfortable with your schools getting F ratings every year, then keep flunking. But when you got a politician on the hot seat, instead of just going along to get along, this is your time. We ask your questions. You know goddamn well Northeast Houston fucked up. And that's what it is. And I ain't gonna leave it at Southeast Houston fucked up too. But the difference is 5-star on the Southeast. And I ain't got no problem putting my foot in no politician ass. I don't need to take a picture with you. Your final thoughts, Ms. Demetri, and let's get up out of here.
I would say this has been a filler. Okay. So anyway, I just want to finish the first point is that Black people time is up. We got to do what we got to do so that we can get from under the conditions that we live. And I would say to Nikki on here, and I'm gonna tell you guys, Nikki Kaiser, I think it is thumbing her nose at you guys. She's telling you guys to not believe your lying eyes. She's trying to make you guys. That's why I think she's somehow related to the representative. She's trying to make
they're neighbors. They're neighbors.
Okay. She's trying to make you guys, but like, do they live in the fifth ward? I don't know. But so she's trying to make you guys think that everything is okay where you live. Now, if you know she's not telling the truth, go vote for somebody who is going to help you get what you need. It does not take 17 years. Yeah, he's the representative and he writes laws. Well, he needs to write laws that are a little bit more progressive for the people who live there. So if you don't like the representation that you're getting, 17 years is too long. And don't blame him. Blame you guys for continuing to let him sit and a swimming pool for seniors. That's nice. But y'all need stuff that go beyond the swimming pool.
Well, maybe they don't.
They do.
Maybe they have exactly what they really want.
Right. And if you want what you're getting, then keep them in there.
There it is.
See y'all tomorrow.
Donovan?
All I can say is the 5-star general needs to get to Minneapolis. Go ahead and hit that Cash App and put in what you can. Let's get him over there, and he can give us a remote from over there on Ground Zero.
I'm trying to get to Ground Zero, y'all. People have been donating. People have been donating since we started. We looking pretty good. I just need to put the numbers together, and if I can get up out of here in the next day or two, I'm Ground Zero, man. I'm going to put my boots on, partner. And that's the difference between me and a lot of y'all. You talk like a G, but you don't walk like one. Man, see that I ain't from Northeast Houston. I'm from 3rd Ward, Texas. And the dude that's on the ground in Minneapolis is from 3rd Ward, Texas. We don't do all that talking, mate. And you can get your ass kicked in Texas, or you can get your ass kicked in Minneapolis. But I'm gonna put a song up. And when I tell you I got 7 different partners in 7 different states, something about me saying St. Paul was on that song. So we already connected. So thank y'all. We could not do this without y'all. Thank you for putting up with the technical difficulties. And I know it's been a tough subject all night long because it's very, very touching. It's very, very touching. Regardless of what you say, Nikki, we gonna burn this bitch down if they put their hands on somebody else. I don't want to hear nothing about your God, your crooked pastors, nobody. Game on. So all you educated people, All you professional Negroes, I want you to feel me when I say this. I want you to get your scared ass somewhere. Because the hood ain't having it no more. Go hide out in the suburbs. Go get you a steak at Martin's or wherever you go. But leave the gangster shit to the gangsters. Ain't none of my people going on the ground no more. I want to thank the fiercest woman that I know. She put them thigh-high boots on every night. Demetra K. My man, Donovan Sadiq. I ride or die with him. And a couple. Y'all gonna be sitting here. And I'm gonna be in the middle of the shit. In Minneapolis, Minnesota. Because you don't put your hands on nobody from 3rd Ward, Texas, and think you ain't gonna answer for it. Bitch.